like on the lowest level.
Living characters on our right. It's different admin positions. One's a principal. I don't know what he does now.
You can have her seat. I guess you're not allowed in. Yeah.
If you put time in here, the time will solutions.
Somebody eventually is gonna get this.
Get your signatures.
Somebody eventually is gonna because they got the numbers. So they run out of seat and then they have. Hey, great.
Yeah.
I hope this doesn't mean I'm 21st after 20 bingos talking.
It may be different where they place you, except when they receive them. They're not putting them in the order of the number you got.
Yeah.
So you could be actually like 30.
Yeah, you sat on that number for a while, boss. Yeah, you got to miss the instructions.
What's the plan with getting home?
Closes on 3-4. So
You move right away, or
I'm gonna move all my stuff out of my shop because I still have a they just raised my rent. It's like it was meant to be. March 1st, they raised the rent. So now that's 3 months just for 8 hobbies. So
yeah,
that pays for the house, right? So we're gonna move the shop out, and then I'm gonna move the phone and raise my rent because they just raised my rent on that. So just moving those things pays for about $4,000. And then we're not gonna move anything on the south. We're just gonna keep it. So if my kids want to leave or I got work or back and forth, we have Houston over here. So we'll move everything over there. So I can register all my cards in there. I can my ID. I can stuff. You know, Airbnb. Leave it.
Yes.
No. Just keep walking. That's right.
so you're gonna start talking about you too.
Very were.
That nitwit.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm used to it.
Well, like here goes. You only work with screen.
That's exciting. I love it. Showing it to my wife to check it.
Some district doctor, some is to go to the job sites. I know I'll just close that work a little bit of stuff. No, but I think it's like important.
So I drove there on the 30th. I drove there. 5:30 when I got there. And I checked in. Did that house at night. So I just wanted to see flip the back there, but I just wanted to see like at night outside. So it's got some weird homey stuff like the kitchen. So you're lit, so they slide you stuff like that. Right. So nothing is changing. Right? So the bones are good, and it's just that's the main entrance. You know, the kitchen and so every side of the house is not huge. That's one hallway. That's in the building. So when you turn around, it's that long enough to space. It's 142 feet. I don't know what they were, but it's.
That's a great.
In America.
It's like one of those movies. Like it.
That's where that's where the daughters of white brains will go. Right?
That's where you have your meetings.
It might be
All right.
like
Come in here. We have a little talk.
exactly.
Just watched the movie, Wrecking Crew. Have you seen it?
No.
And Manoa created his first name. And Batista, Batista,
Okay.
brothers. It's, no, yeah,
In the movie or in real life?
movie.
Oh,
No,
okay, okay.
It's a good movie. I mean, it's so funny. Yeah, you gotta find. Well, there's a point where they go into a opens up a door, you know, like in the closet, it opens up the door.
Okay.
It's all these guys. They just Eddie and I go, we gotta get that. We gotta get one of those.
I'm well off my way. So that right there, that is, we don't know what that is. I think it's supposed to be a media room or something because it leads up to the third story, which is the next picture.
They pull down for a bridge or a stairway.
That's just wires.
Oh.
Or the bridge part.
Pull down.
Yeah. And a bit better. So those stairs go up to the third story, which is just that's some direction. That side is the landing side. The side is kind of driveway's 400 feet long. So when you get to the bed, you're a block away from it.
So cool.
And I think that's become to means altered and then starting to send something. Right? Is this?
Yeah, he's really wanted.
Yeah, I've been at it for months and everything.
I heard.
Say right thing.
I can. Yes. Yes, probably. You're gonna have to reach out to them.
Video.
Because you're so beautiful.
So, boats.
All right, I love you. Thank you for
Let's say, I think you like I'm heading in. Trevor, got it? Okay, it's 3 weeks that you're walking by back.
If I remember, but I think.
Dude, I was lost within a few minutes because there's stairways everywhere. There's it's 3 separate houses, so there's 3 separate heating HVAC systems, water heaters. There's a laundry room in every house. It's crazy. That's wild.
How much is it? $40.
I'm all like,
I'm old. I didn't remember.
it's still real. So yeah, flip through till you get to the major items to be seen the landscape. Or this landscape with the vault door. It's like I'll leave the safe here because I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
That's a gym. There's one on each side. So from that wall to the wall on the other one, these 3 heights. Isn't that ridiculous? I even just looked at them. It's like, well, I'm not you have to work. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's me. I said, are you really going to carry every bag of groceries at 150 feet to the front door and take it in the house? Like, no, we need covered parking in the front or something.
Yeah.
So, and it's got these weird breezeways. It's a weird, man, it is so cool.
I was on tonight.
In person. And the trucking company, so.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's odd. Weird. I have no clue why, but it just doesn't matter. You're gonna go finish it.
Daylight.
That happens to be the biggest antelope merchant in the country, in case you're wondering. Yeah, so when I was driving to go look at the house, I had to stop and look at the airbox through town. Like, oh, man, I'm not like a suspect. Just wandering down the street. Yep. Oh, another one. Besides for, wow. So the morning.
What are you doing now?
2 below 0.
Work-wise? Yes.
I feel like
So,
it doesn't wait.
You own marine calendars and
No.
putting in pipelines?
Trying to get up. So
What are
no,
I didn't, I was just mad.
So I have all.
So in my twenties, I figured out,
It's just.
How far
Uh,
is this airport?
I was starting to wait
The whole fall, actually,
in
Jackson.
21. So in the winter, construction was closed, well,
It's
you wait.
much bigger airport. That's
Well, in summertime,
the real.
California,
But Salt Lake.
restaurant goes down in the summertime.
So I do. Probably city's obviously the last choice.
Let's go back before
That's what it costs.
all my life I've done
Is that
construction.
you were down on the southern border?
Oh, that was
telecom.
yeah. I was doing the
Like 4 blocks that.
surveillance.
Oh, yeah, the cameras.
Yeah, so yeah, we did a lot of stuff like that right there, like that camera right there. That has 4 to 5 cameras.
We started
The soccer thing up to the ceiling.
So
That is at least 4 cameras, maybe like possibly 5. So it's got they call that a multi-sensor. And then these ones right here, this yeah, those are these point pan tilt zoom. So it can fall like a turret, zoom in, all that kind of stuff. It can be set to like at the CHP stations, you know, when they say pull a truck driver, they go, hey, pull over.
Right after this.
Well, sometimes they pull the truck down the way, and the guy would get out. Drugs on them, toss it. Well, that thing can zoom in on it, man. Like you could see a construct crawl across the parking lot, you know. So,
So how did you sell those too? Or just install them?
I installed them and then became a project manager. Yeah. So
A story to read.
I've done a lot of stuff.
Still do that. So what-
No. So currently, so that and then access control. You know, you swipe your badge to get in a place.
Yeah.
So that's part of security. So
Yeah.
alarm,
They're over.
access control, and
Oh, busy. Yeah.
I'm doing a form of access control where you know you go into a parking garage and you get your ticket in your arms, or they have maybe you swipe a badge inside.
You try to make it also 3 hours.
Yeah.
Working out. So they put in.
And it's not. It goes in spurts. You know,
Just something
it's not
over. So now
a parking garage going on
that's
one side. So
that'd be-
I do that, and then I just work for myself in between.
So there's a couple of ranches, hundreds of horses are the neighbors.
Didn't it help? Me?
It's
I
old.
think it ended up helping a lot in where we keep it. You know, meeting projects and stuff done around the place.
That's an excellent neighborhood. That's as close as they get it. That's Idaho. From that. That's
So beautiful.
crazy.
All right, we're going to reconvene to close session at 6:30 PM. And we have nothing to report out of closed. Mrs. Anderson, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Will you all please stand and join me?
Julie got stuck outside.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show 1445, response to immigration enforcement, and action item number 22.6, approve resolution number 2525, supporting law enforcement to before the consent items on the agenda. Is that okay with everybody? That just those two?
And attaching them?
And what do you mean attaching them?
Well, they were supposed to be together.
They would be,
They were supposed to
they would be
together.
separate, but
Separate, in the same category.
they would be right after
That's
public comment.
exactly what we were asked.
Perfect.
Wow, we agreed really early in this board meeting, Carrie.
Good job. So I need approval of that agenda as amended, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Blades, second by Mrs. Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Okay, so our public comment announcement, it's a lot of wording, so I'm gonna kind of highlight a little bit. We posted it on the side here, and then I'll reference it again a couple of times if necessary, and right before we actually get to public comment. This is just the announcement piece. So public comment cards are available over to the right here and in the foyer. Cards must be completed and turned in prior to the designated time for public comment. We'll provide a maximum of 3 minutes per person. We have a number of them now, so based on our categories, we have 44. So we're going to go 1 minute each. If translation is needed, an additional minute will be given. Please let us know ahead of time so that we can ensure we are prepared for that. I will highlight the civility policy. Education Code 220 prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability, gender identity, gender expression, nationality, race or ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characteristic that is contained in the definition of hate crimes set forth in section 422.55 of the Penal Code, including immigration status. Additionally, if we have any disruptions or if we have interference on the board's ability to conduct this meeting, the disruptive parties will be given one warning. If the disruption continues, you will be informed that the board president has found you disruptive in violation of Penal Code section 403. So you have one warning, and that will the second one will be removal. Education Code section 322.10. And you will be removed from the meeting under Government Code section 54957.9 and 54957.95. If removing one or several disruptive parties does not restore order, the board president will exercise my authority to clear the room in accordance with Government Code section 54957. I don't want to get to that point, so I know there's a lot of people that are passionate. We want to hear from everyone, and we want to make sure that we can do that. So when we get to that point, just remind everybody that we want to keep calm, let people speak, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so that brings me to approval of minutes. Like a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 20th, 2026.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Anderson, second by Mrs. Quintero. Any comments? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. So we did get a student board report. Everybody's got it at the dais here. And we can reference that later. Okay. And so from there, I will move it to superintendent board report and pass it to you, Dr. Kim.
Thank you, President Buck. Let me get my notes here. Sorry. Okay. Good evening, trustees and executive cabinet members. I'm going to start with National School Counseling Week. Last week, we joined educational organizations across the country in celebrating our National School Counseling Week. It is typically the first week in February. This year, it was February 2nd through the 6th. It's no secret, our students, staff, and families alike have come to rely on our school counselors and wellness specialists for support and guidance beyond regularly assigned duties. Our counselors provide critical expertise as students navigate their educational journeys, helping them prepare for next steps, addressing a wide range of campus-based challenges, and sharing timely and important information with school communities. They work diligently each day to support the emotional health, safety, and overall well-being of PYLUSD students, work that is more important now than ever. We extend our sincere gratitude to the dedicated school counselors and wellness specialists for their compassion, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to serving our students and our families. Founder's Day Dinner. On February 4th, trustees, executive cabinet members, and I had the pleasure of attending the PTA Founder's Day Dinner hosted by Placenta Yorba Linda Unified Council of PTSAs, known as PYLUC. This year marks 129 years since PTA was founded in an effort to improve the lives of all children and families. Annually, the National PTA recognizes Founders Day in February to celebrate the legacy and work of the organization's founders, Alice McClellan Burney, Phoebe Aberson Hurst, and Selena Sloan Butler. It was great to hear from the leaders of PYLUC, including President Jessica Candelaria, who all work tirelessly to support our individual schools, PTAs and PTSAs by advocating for our students and our schools. Coming up, Shamrock and Run. Next, our partners at the Reach Foundation recently announced that their annual Shamrock and Run 5K and 2K events will take place Sunday, March 15th at Yorba Regional Park in Anaheim. Proceeds from this event directly benefit our annual middle school track meet and other programs hosted by the Reach Foundation, which is an all-volunteer education-focused 501c3 nonprofit that benefits students across the district. More information about the event and a link to register are available on the district's website. Employees of the Year. On February 5th, we announced our Employees of the Year for 25-26 school year. Members of the district's executive leadership team, along with Gloria Johnson, president of the Association of Placenta Yorba Linda Educators, and Chris Lawyer, president of the California School Employee Association, hit the road for a much-anticipated prize patrol. These 9 employees were nominated by one or more of their colleagues or supervisors who detailed outstanding contributions they provide to the district that go above and beyond. The nominating individual also describes how the candidate demonstrates the district's 4 core values. Our Teachers of the Year were Rebecca Bonet from Valencia High School, and Jenna Rasick from Golden Elementary, and April Treese from Valadez Middle School. Yes, please give them a round of applause. Thank you. Our classified employees of the year were Jeanette Bashir Hogan, library media technician from Kramer Middle School, Jennifer Gaithright from clerk from Fairmont Elementary, and Jennifer Terry, child development preschool educator from Linda Vista Preschool. Please give them a round of applause. Lastly, our managers of the year were Sarah Barton, principal from Tuffrey Middle School, Tanya Gordillo from assistant director from Student Services Department, and Maria Montalvo, school psychologist from Valencia High School. Congratulations to each of these employees as well. And then finally, student voice. Over the past 6 weeks or so, Laura Lee Meza, Ellen Mary Hickman, and I have begun conducting listening sessions for our strategic planning that will carry out through the remainder of this school year. We've engaged with over 200 middle and high school students so far. Students have shared their hopes, their anxieties, their frustrations, along with suggestions that they feel could make the student experience more engaging and more relevant. They clearly have their eye on their future, and they want the high school experience to provide them with real-world learning, like financial literacy, how to ethically and responsibly use AI, and how to successfully navigate college. I also look forward to engaging students in the development of our upcoming cell phone and AI policies. I think the student voice is critical in the development of these policies, so we will be working with student leaders from all of our schools to be a part of that process. This concludes my report for this evening.
Mhm.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. And congratulations to all of our outstanding employees this year. Okay, so that brings us to public comment. As a reminder, all speakers must comply with Board Policy 1312, our civility policy. Disruptive conduct will receive 1 warning, and continued disruption may result in removal from the meeting or further action as authorized by law. Okay, so public comment is an opportunity for the public to provide input to the Board of Education. During this time, we don't dialogue with the speakers or make comments regarding the information that's shared. We're here to listen. We have how many speakers? 53. Is that one more? This is the last chance to put it in.
Actually, 3 minutes.
Is that a yes?
Plus the screen, 1 minute each, plus the screen.
Okay, maybe we'll give them a. So we're gonna start, each speaker is gonna start with 1 minute. And we're going to do 7 at a time. So there are 7 seats right here up in the first row. Perfect. Okay, so 55 total. So this is gonna be a long time. It's gonna be over an hour where we're gonna be listening to each other. So I just want to remind you, please listen. I understand you might like some things and you might not like some things. But we want to make sure that this board is able to hear what everybody is saying so that we can make decisions based on our feedback and what we're hearing from all of you. Okay, so we'll start with the first 7. And when you come up to the podium, if you'll just tell us your name, and then you can go ahead, start. You'll have a timer on the side, and then we also have those reminders just up there in case you need it.
We'll have 1 through 7 sit here. When they're done, they will exit out and we'll bring the next 7 and we'll just continue on.
So this will help us move a little bit faster. We won't have to call out names or anything, but just remind us when you get up to the front, just your name, and then we can get started. Okay, starting with number 1. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kanan Durham. I'm here representing Pride the Peer. Long time no see, Leandra. I did see you on Friday at an anti-trans hate rally in Long Beach. I did actually want to speak specifically about a number of things that Trustee Blaze has been putting on social media, besmirching the community and her own students. You've claimed that the walkout in your district recently was coordinated by left-wing activists. I do want to bring attention to the Esperanza walkout, which you spoke about on the Andy Falco podcast today, which I know the PYL for Choice shared. You claim that that wasn't a walkout, but the Sophia Lory put a press release out about that podcast in which she called it an Esperanza High School walkout. So I just want to make sure that we are on the same page here. If you're okay with one act of civic engagement but not another, let's be honest.
Thank you. And number 2.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Black History Month. I'm Sarah Phillips, a teacher librarian at Yorba High School. I hope everyone has selected a good book by a Black author to read this month. I'll recommend People of Means by Nancy Johnson. It's great historical fiction about civil rights movements in the 60s and the 1990s. This year marks the 100th anniversary of Black history being celebrated at a national event, and it's 50 years since it was expanded to the whole month of February. While on the topic of Black history, I'd like to urge the board to reconsider 2 previously passed resolutions. First, Resolution 2112, the CRT ban. It is a resolution born out of the culture war at the time. It's politically charged and truly unnecessary in a K-12 setting, but it also resulted in the district losing huge contributions that student teachers were making from Cal State Fullerton. We lost that resource of new talent entering the teaching profession. This is something that can be corrected with the total removal of that resolution. The second resolution or
Good afternoon, board. My name is Abigail. First, I would urge you all to pass board policy 1445 to be in compliance of the law. Now on to item 22.6, Blade's resolution. I would like to take this moment to correct one of your points. You claim that respect for the rule of law is a foundational principle of our nation. That is not true. In fact, quite the opposite. Our nation was founded on 2 things, one of which is rebellion against the rule of law. If the colonies had not rebelled against the rule of law, we would still be colonies. Our nation is what it is today is through imperialism and conquest. We were the immigrants. We saw the land and the lives of hundreds of Native American tribes. In fact, right now we are standing on the ancestral land of the Tongva and Achacavan peoples. Even beyond that, less than 200 years ago, this land was part of Mexico. And now Leandra Blades wants to take it a step further and bring the secret police to our schools to kidnap children with no criminal record and deport them. Shame on you.
My name is Sarah Heaney. I have a parent at Hines Elementary School, and I'm asking that you do not approve Resolution 2525. The resolution undermines AB 49 and will only cause confusion at the school level. AB 49 said that the school administrators are not to allow entry without a judicial warrant, but Resolution 2525 effectively says not to impede an officer's entry. Resolution 2525 creates legal murkiness that ICE could take advantage of. The confusion fosters fear and could lead to unlawful entry, dangerous confrontations, or much worse, all of which puts all of our children in the crosshairs. The students and their ability to learn must be the board's #1 priority. We know that children cannot actively participate in their education when they are unwell. Their physical, emotional, and mental well-being, along with their safety, should be top of mind when voting. The school board should be the first line of defense when it comes to protecting our students, and I implore you to strike down Resolution 2525.
My name is Brian Cox. I've been a Placentia resident for 36 years. My wife Lori was raised in Placentia and attended Wagner, Tuffrey, and El Dorado. Our 2 sons attended Placentia schools, Morris, Kramer, and Valencia. I am strongly opposed to allowing any federal agents in our schools. My opinion is that our students are minors under the guidance and supervision of adult parents, grandparents, or guardians. If they are in our country without legal authorization, the responsibility belongs to their parents, grandparents, or guardians. The appropriate government entities should focus their attention on adults, not children. Please remember, unless you are an Indigenous person, we are all immigrants to this country. Thank you.
Gloria Johnson, Apple president. This is what it looks like when Apple speaks officially to the public. There's an unhealthy obsession with the local Teachers Association by some members of this community, blaming us for anything they heard, read, or think they heard from any of over 1,000 members. If a member says or does something, some say, Apple planned it, when it was just people acting within their constitutional rights as independent American citizens. When one trustee says something, we are intentional in separating individual trustee opinions from the entire school board. When one administrator does something, Apple does not blame the entire executive cabinet because we understand that individuals act of their own free will. What Apple actually does is support our members' ability to educate our students with regard to class size, workload, work hours, health and safety, among other things. As president this year, I will have visited each school site to bring their needs directly to Dr. Kim, Ed Services, HR, and Student Services. Our focus is to help make PYL the district all students and members deserve.
Hi. My name is Allison Holt, and I'm a longtime employee of Placentia School District, and I am a homeowner here in Placentia. I was alarmed to see a lot of posts regarding this pro-ICE resolution, and I wanted to speak out on it. I think this type of resolution is contrary to California state law, Senate Bill 294, and it also conflicts with district policy with the proper role of the school board. Placentia Yorba School District exists to educate and serve all of our students and all of the families in our community. Issuing a politically charged statement like this actively undermines it. The current climate is such a statement would be divisive and harmful to student safety and trust. The district keeps employees from having political conversations and stuff during work, and I feel like the board should be held up to the same kind of a standard and not bringing politics into our.
Next speaker is 8 through, what do we have? 14. So if you have 8 through 14, please come up to the front. If you're outside, make your way to the door and we have a space for you.
Hello, my name is Patrick Hill. I come here to express my profound concern with Resolution 2025, supporting law enforcement that is attempting to be pushed on the schools of this district. This resolution has significant consequences if it's implemented. Allowing ICE in our schools and requiring cooperation with this terrorist organization does nothing to protect this community or our district. And I say terrorist organization, not for shock value, but to actually explain what they're doing to people. The damage that can be done to a student being interrogated or harassed by a member of ICE will stay with them for a lifetime. Those board members who are saying that this is for student safety need to stop lying to themselves and this community. ICE will do nothing but create chaos, just like they've always done. I pray that the board members who support this never have to see one of their own family members ripped away from them, like ICE does.
Good evening, board members. Lang Yu. I come to you tonight as a member of California's Peace and Freedom Party, a former student in the school district, and someone who has nieces and nephews currently attending in-district schools. And I ask you to vote no on Ms. Blade's resolution for ICE collaboration. Passage of this resolution to allow ICE into the schools would create an environment of fear and trauma that would shatter the trust and safety that are essential for learning and be extremely detrimental to our most vulnerable students and families. My understanding is that the district already has a policy that protects students against ICE. This resolution undermines that protection, violates the law, and risks costly lawsuits that would take away resources from our classrooms. By even entertaining this resolution, the board is distracted from its job of ensuring every child's right to a good public education in this district. I implore the board to vote no and do the right and moral thing.
Hi, my name is Ubeda. I'm a organizer with the Party for Student Liberation, and I'm here to talk to all you about not voting for Resolution 2525. That's because we don't want violence to be a common thread or a common interest for our students. This is going to be opening our schools to ICE. ICE has already killed 2 people in Minnesota. Blades herself has a history of violence, being a former cop. We understand this. We don't want Blades or anybody really here to make our students, our families feel more unsafe than they already are. The federal agencies are already on our backs, and the school should be a safe place for us, our students, and everybody else. And just one more thing about this specifically, voting yes on 2525 makes it clear that you're standing with the federal agencies that are attacking our families as opposed to our families ourselves. You're standing with the violence that Blades and ICE perpetrates as opposed to the safety that we as students and families are asking for. Thank you.
Okay, before you start, I just want to make sure we're on track with numbers, so we didn't forget anybody.
11.
You're number 11?
Yeah.
And did we get 8, 9, and 10? Are we missing anyone? Okay. We're missing Angelise.
Oh, yeah, sorry, we switched. I'm Los Angeles.
Okay.
As a community member and educator, I oppose Leandra Blades' proposition for ICE cooperation in schools. With Latinos making up 45% of the student population and one of the most heavily targeted groups by ICE enforcement, Leandra's proposition is inherently violent. It's ridiculous that a school board whose mission is to prioritize a place conducive to learning is seriously considering allowing literal children to be assaulted by adult federal agents. ICE has already killed multiple people since the reign of terror began. So for Leandra to propose ICE cooperation means she does not care whether our kids live or die. Leandra Blades does not see our kids as human beings, and if you ask me, someone like that should not be making decisions for kids. And if any other school board member is in support of this proposal, then you too are complicit in the violence against our kids and our community and should be terminated from your position. ICE out of OC and ICE out of schools.
And number 12?
Yes.
Perfect.
Can I start?
Yes.
Hi, thank you all for being here.
Can you state your name?
Oh, Susie, I'm a parent in the school district and I also have had the honor of growing up in Yorba Linda. When I first moved to Yorba Linda, I was only in first grade and it was a pretty homogeneous city. Seeing that we've evolved and grown to have this beautiful diaspora of different demographics, different immigrant populations that have come and contributed to Yorba Linda has been such an amazing and inspiring thing to see. We have been voted the most wealthiest, safest city how many times? That is due to our amazing communities. And now you want to sit there and take people away from the communities that have directly contributed to the economy of Yorba Linda and Placentia, and you want to go after our children. You guys are the board of school members. You need to have integrity. And I know you all love children, and I know that you all have words. So let that lead your decision. Integrity. Don't forget integrity. Okay?
Oh, who's 13?
Sorry, I'm 13.
Perfect.
I'm Amy Cheesebro. Okay, are we ready? Our campuses are required to follow strict safety and legal access procedures. Staff verified ID, authorization, documentation before allowing entry or releasing a child. These rules exist to protect students and staff and are not optional. The resolution would put staff in the position to open the door to people who do not have the proper documentation to release a child safely. School employees are not the courts and should not be asked to open the doors to strangers without the proper warrants backed by the courts. If access is lawful, it should come with proper documentation and warrants. I'm asking the board to support consistent safety protocols and require verified legal authorization. Warrants before campus or any other property owned by the district would allow a child or staff's removal. I say no to this open access. This is not legal. Do not adopt an unlawful policy allowing citizens to enter school.
Hi, I'm Jessica Coghill. I'm a parent. I'm also an employee for the school district, and I am the co-director for the Orange County chapter of the American Indian Movement. I'm here to disagree with ICE entering our schools, as we've seen already, the acts of violence towards people of color, even people not of color, in various cities across our nation. And I am I can't say it. I am opposed, seriously opposed to any ICE coming in and causing any disruption for our children. They are supposed to come to school to learn, and they shouldn't have to fear for being taken from their families. I am hoping that everybody on this board will disagree with the member.
Numbers 15 through 21. If you'll find your spots in the front here, 15 to 21.
My name's Al Judd. I'm the father of a kid that goes to El Dorado. I'm here to talk to you. This ICE is not legitimate law enforcement. They are not here to enforce laws. They are under a directive from Stephen Miller, the Deputy White House Chief of Staff, which is part of the Heritage Foundation Project 2025 mandate. They are not accountable. They have no identification, and they're recruited from the same alt-right militias that you spent January 6th with at our nation's capital.
You want to be able to hear, please keep it down.
And you are intending to infiltrate our schools with those agents to destroy these minority kids? Are you out of your mind? We will not tolerate, I will not tolerate, I will fight to defend and support this Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And you are a subversive domestic enemy of our country. And I will not tolerate it. You can sit there with that silly little smirk on your face all night long. These kids are giving you Martin Luther King energy right now.
Number 16, please.
My name is Xochitl Aguilera, and I'm a parent in this district. I'm also first-generation Mexican-American homeowner, an MBA graduate, and a branch manager for one of our largest credit unions here in this local community. But most importantly, I'm a mother of 2 young boys who I trust the school system to keep safe, supported, and focused on learning. I'm here tonight because I'm deeply concerned about the immigration enforcement aspect being tied to law enforcement presence in our campuses. Schools should be places where children feel safe, welcome, and able to learn, not where families fear to showing up to school could put them at risk. When fear enters a classroom, learning leaves. Many families in our community, regardless of status, work hard. We pay taxes. We value education as a path to opportunity. Policies that blur the line between school safety and immigration enforcement risk discouraging parental involvement, student attendance, and trust between families in our schools. I fully support safe, campuses, every parent does, but safety must include emotional safety as well.
Hello, my name is Tara Crone. I'm a mother of a child that goes to Wagner. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker, and I am trained in trauma-informed care and ACEs. For those of you that don't know what ACEs are, it's adverse childhood experiences. I want to speak today regarding Resolution 2525. I'm deeply concerned for the well-being of our children. The presence of ICE on a school campus would profoundly traumatize not only the children that could potentially be intercepted, but also for the many children who would witness their classmates being removed by force. Research consistently shows that exposure to fear, instability, and perceived threats to safety can have lifelong impacts on a child's physical health and mental health, academic performance, and sense of security. Schools must be safe spaces, places where children feel protected, supported, and able to learn without fear. Allowing enforcement actions on campus undermines the safety and creates lasting harm.
Yes. Please state your name and then go ahead and start.
Good evening, my name is Eric Gao, and I'm speaking on behalf of Kaylee Garcia, Mila Jans, Emma Wang, and many other voices at Yorba Linda High School. As a first-generation immigrant, I waited years to be naturalized, taking care to do everything right. However, the recent arbitrary actions of ICE agents across the country have led me to doubt the security that was promised to be provided to me by the citizenship I waited so long to get. There has been over 170 American citizens who have already been mistakenly identified and detained by ICE agents. Allowing ICE agents onto PYLUSD campuses could potentially subject our community to contribute to this number, disrupting the feeling of safety on campus for hundreds of students trying to pursue an education and bright future. Currently, the PYLUSD school district is facing a Title IX lawsuit from the Trump administration and not complying with California Bill AB 49 and SB 98. We are opening the doors to retaliation from both the state and federal governments. PYLUSD is currently operating under a budget deficit, and students do not need any more retaliation due to the school report's politics.
Thank you. Members of the board, my name is Nicole Bemmer. I'm a mother of a child in the district and also a former graduate. You began your mission statement by promising a safe, secure, and supportive learning environment for all students and staff. So I'm asking you plainly, is that mission upheld if Resolution 2525 is approved? Safe can be defined as a state, place, or action free from danger, injury, harm, risk, or fear. And approving Resolution 2525 does not create safety. Creates anxiety, trauma, and silence. And if this board does believe that emotional harm of students is an acceptable consequence, then where is the budget amendment to accompany the resolution? One that offers funding for licensed psychologists to provide free therapy to students forced to process the trauma of seeing classmates removed by federal agents or fearing that they will be next. Schools must be a sanctuary. Parents should be able to drop off their children confident that they'll be there at pickup. And when that trust is broken, learning stops.
Hello, my name is Omar Montoya. I am a concerned citizen on the board of Placentia and a substitute teacher from SAUSD. I've looked through proposal 22.6 in the agenda and found it went directly against the changes in Education Code section 234.7 that California Attorney General Rob Bonta updated for 2026. The proposal implies educators to comply with immigration enforcement regardless if they are on the premises legally. I think the language is very unclear and should be specified, especially since direct quotes from it are taken to use and imply the exact opposite of what those proposals say in California state law. State law suggests that we shall not provide any information or help assist in immigration enforcement unless they provide ID and a judicial warrant. Whenever I travel to school site as a teacher, I'm required by law to sign in, present ID, and state my purpose to ensure the safety of our students. It's weird if I didn't do that. All right.
Good evening, I'm Tom Langen. I am the grandfather of two half Guatemalan boys. I have heard a whole range of things about this, whether it happened or not, this student being tackled by ICE that led to the walkout. Did that in fact happen? If it did not happen, who spread that rumor? And why would they spread that rumor? I've also heard that you're an ogre. You don't look like an ogre to me, Leandra. Sorry for the way that gentleman spoke to you. Gentleman, I use loosely. You're not a gentleman. If you don't
Please keep your comments directed toward us. Thank you.
Did that in fact happen? What's the truth? Does anyone really know?
Okay, that makes it, moves us now to numbers 22 through 28, if you'll take your spot at the front.
I see the.
I'm looking at you.
I'm looking at you too.
You don't talk to a
Okay,
like that.
please keep it
He's not a man.
peaceful in the back or we'll have to have you removed. This is the one warning, sir. You with the gray hair that just spoke.
Oh, okay.
I'm warning because of conversations that are happening in the back and we need to stop it so we can move on. Thank you very much. Go ahead, number 22.
Thank you. My name is Josh Martinez. I'm here to ask that we reject approval of resolution 2525. Members of the board, rejecting this resolution is not anti-law enforcement. It is pro-student, pro-safety, and pro-law. Schools exist to teach core subjects and provide safe, supportive learning environments. While law enforcement plays an important role in campus safety, bringing ICE enforcement into classrooms is an adult issue that creates fear, distracts from learning, and undermines parental trust, the very things that this district claims to prioritize. State law, board policy 1445, Weiler versus Doe, and FERPA all protect students and families from enforcement actions that interfere with education. Our duty is clear: keep schools focused on students, not fear. Every child deserves safety and trust, and this resolution threatens both.
Greetings of peace. My name is Nina Fernando, and I have two young children who are currently enrolled in the district. Thank you so much to those of you on the board and to our incredible teachers and school staff who are working hard to ensure that all of our students, regardless of what they look like or where they were born, every single one of them feels safe going to school. My kids are currently learning about the values of belonging, of kindness, about what it means to be community helpers, and their schools prioritize social emotional learning. It is clear we adults need these lessons and reminders too. All of you know that allowing ICE agents to enter our school classrooms or buses would traumatize our children, not keep them safe. We all know this. I ask you additionally, please provide adequate training so that staff understand exactly what to do to keep our schools safe and buses safe, free from ICE. We must reject exclusion and violence in our schools. Let us build belonging and kindness alongside our children. I'm so encouraged by these high schoolers that are here tonight. Let our
My name is Aaron Luo, and I'm a student at Yorba. I'm speaking in opposition to resolution 2525. As students, we depend on our schools and teachers to stand up for us and protect our safety. That is the basic expectation when we walk onto campus each morning. I want to ask the board directly, if ICE on campus results in a student being wrongfully detained or injured, who accepts responsibility for that outcome? Please stand up for your students and vote no on resolution 2525.
Okay, hi, my name is Evelyn Villavicencio. I grew up here in Yorba Linda. I went through all my grade schools. I have to say, I was very disappointed to hear that you guys were going to be, it makes me very emotional. But partnering with ICE and allowing that. My daughter is starting her TK and she loves her school.
But we have to do better in teaching our kids to love one another. Allowing ICE into our schools will traumatize our kids and normalize this kind of cruelty. This is in fact not normal and should not be allowed in our schools. We must vote no on 2525. We have to. This is not kind. Thank you.
Bill Glennon, district alumni, parent. Yet again, we have a board member who is going about making our community less desirable, district more unstable, most importantly, our teachers and staff, students less safe. We do not need a resolution. This district's been a model for decades, partnering with local authorities. The idea is partisan nonsense in search of a problem that doesn't exist. The notion that any school would welcome heavily armed mass aggressors on campus is absurd, completely bonkers idea that only screams of wanting to put children in danger. What normal, decent person would ever want this? None. Only a morally bankrupt soul would think it's okay to terrorize and embarrass a child over an issue they cannot control. But that's the pattern with this board member, terrorizing innocent children over their own personal issues that are none of her business. The clown show needs to stop. Enough of the talking point nonsense, conspiracy theories, boogeymen that don't exist, all coming from a party that's lost its moral compass. Only resolution to consider is censuring this clown and the selfish fear-mongering bigotry of said member that has gone on for too long. School should be a safe haven for our kids.
Hello, my name is Patrick Tran, and I am an alumnus of Valencia High School, class of 2025. I would like to give some remarks regarding the proposed resolution number 2525. I see here that it cites the proposed board policy 1445, so it's contingent on that. But I see that the quote that it cites from board policy 1445 does not it comes from a larger block of text, and this does not support what resolution 2525 seems to imply that it supports. In reality, this block of text limits cooperation with immigration enforcement, and the quoted text is simply a liability limitation mechanism, not opening to collaboration.
Hello, my name is Shane Cook. I'm speaking on something that may have been swept under the rug due to current events. I go to Esperanza High School. I've come to speak about the investigation our district is currently undergoing due to violation of Title IX, meaning we are allowing biological males to play in women's sports. If our district is found to be in violation, we will directly lose funding. My school has already had a declining enrollment rate and has had a required class cutbacks. I would hate to see my friends in the grades below me lose even more than they have. Due to the recklessness of the board, when did we start catering to a few select individuals once instead of an entire district of students' needs? This also directly affects trans athletes as well. With the lack of funding, the privilege of playing on teams will quickly cease for all students. Board members swore an oath to obey the Constitution, and under the U.S. Constitution's Supremacy Clause, federal laws take procedure over local school board policies, meaning blatant disregard for federal laws is unconstitutional, and any member disobeying federal law should be fired. Thank you.
29 through 36, please. 35. 29 through 35. We'll start with 29.
Good evening. My name is Sebastian. I'm a student at El Dorado, and I'm here to talk about the resolution involving ICE that Leon Blaze is putting forward. School is supposed to be a safe place for everyone, but when ICE is permitted to it creates fear in a setting where people shouldn't be scared there. It affects my peers who are scared to come to school or walk back home. And on top of that, they have to worry about their families, worrying that they could be taken or stopped just for existing. Cooperation with ICE in schools is unacceptable, and every student deserves to feel safe walking onto campus, no matter who they are or where they're from. Please keep ICE out of our schools.
Hi, good evening. My name is Cheryl. I am the mom of a 4-year-old in Placentia Unified, Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. My problem with this resolution is that it's called supporting law enforcement and it does not center children. It does not center their well-being. It does not specify how the board is going to clarify and specify what is going to be done to keep our kids safe. I do not want masked, armed law enforcement to be on the campus near my kid. I don't want them to be near my kids' friends. I don't want them to be near teachers or school administrators. I think that Leandra has full trust and faith in law enforcement, and so she minimizes and invalidates the experience of a lot of kids of color. And that's exactly what this resolution shows in the way that it's written. So I just feel like
This resolution is meant to affirm our cooperation with law enforcement in alignment with existing state policies and to ensure that staff members aren't making false or inflammatory statements about law enforcement to our students. That's where the fear is coming from. The events of the last week prove exactly why this policy is necessary. Instead of a civil policy debate, we've seen the spread of malicious and unsubstantiated narratives on social media. The story of a local student being violently chased and detained by ICE at gunpoint has not been corroborated by a single police department. Yet this fiction was used to incite a mass walkout where students held signs filled with profanity and hateful rhetoric, even calling Leandra a Nazi and saying a dead Nazi is a good Nazi. Most troubling is that many of the signs handed out to the students were clearly marked as funded by the Party for Socialism and Liberation. When the superintendent was asked to clarify the facts and reassure the students that they were safe from these imaginary raids, she refused, claiming she didn't want to insert herself into politics. But by remaining silent while a false narrative was used to radicalize students and harass a public
Please complete your comments. Please complete your comments. Please complete your comments. Thank you very much.
My name is Jose Ramirez. I'm a graduate of Valencia and a parent of a current senior at El Dorado. I'm here to speak to your hearts to vote against this resolution having ICE at our schools. Growing up here in Placentia, I was taught to go to school and feel safe. How does this make our children safe? As a parent, talking to you guys, how does that make our children safe across the whole school district? So please reconsider your thoughts and vote no. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Soren. I'm a local parent and I've watched for years as Leandra and Todd and their group have targeted the most vulnerable students like LGBTQ and now immigrants in this district over and over. And their childish bullying is just sad. And this wink and nod to ICE is pretty pathetic. Now, all three of my kids did North County basketball. We've done volleyball. We've done swimming at East. So I'm curious if you consulted any of the many sports organizations that use district property before you've done this. Does North County want ICE terrorizing basketball or volleyball games? Does West Yorba Linda or East Hills want ICE arresting parents at their games? Does I-9 or East Aquatics want ICE coming in and, kidnapping kids there? Will any other districts want to play in Placentia Yorba Linda after Leandra Blades invited them into your schools? So you're probably stuck with Leandra for a few years, but you can vote Todd out this year. I think that's a good idea.
My name is Cruz Flores.
We're moving on. Number 34.
My name is Cruz Flores and I live in Placencia. I'm here to, I want you not to pass this resolution because I'm a grown-up. I'm a United States citizen and I'm afraid to walk the streets without the proper ID. I cannot imagine the fear that our students will have if they have to go to school and not have the proper ID. I also want to remind the board of the Supreme Court case of Player versus Doe. Every child has the constitutional right to a public education regardless of their status. It's like, and if you pass a resolution, it will undermine this law. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shani Murray. A majority of Americans think ICE has gone too far.
There are serious concerns about excessive and lethal use of force, lack of accountability, and racial profiling. Leandra admitted as much in a social media comment about Latino and Asian students feeling targeted. No student should feel targeted in a school environment. Leandra's proposed resolution does nothing to address those concerns or reassure PYL students and their families. Not the original resolution in its support for immigration officers or the revised version in its misleading representation of Board Policy 1445. So I applaud students for exercising their First Amendment right and peacefully protesting to demand empathy, respect, and transparency. I also applaud Placentia PD for their expertise and professionalism in supporting both students' rights and community safety. I'm here tonight asking the board to listen to students and reject proposed resolution 2525. Thank you. Number 36. So we're gonna go on the next group, sorry, 36 to 42. Okay, number 36, you can go first.
My name is Carlos Castañeda. I am here to, under the California Education Code Section 234.7, the school district are legally required to educate and train the staff and to inform parents and students about immigration-related rights and process. So the question that I have here for you guys, if you guys already educate your staff on the school district. This past Monday, I went to El Dorado High School, to get educated about the immigration situation that was going on. And I spoke to the assistant principal and the other assistant principal, male and female, and they didn't know nothing about how to handle the immigration process. They didn't even know the difference between
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay. Next, speaker number 37.
Hello, thank you, board members, for having me here today. My name is Juan Lopez. I come from El Dorado High School. One situation that I wanted to talk about was the bathroom situation, specifically the smoking. It's been a very bad, pleasant time to use the restroom because there's always people smoking in there. And I don't mind waiting in line or anything, but sometimes when I'm trying to use the bathroom during passing periods, it's very hard for me to do that because it's just filled up everything with people smoking. And I decided to wear a green tie because I wear of health, and I want us to be able to use the bathroom in peace and not have to worry about any of the bad chemicals in the air. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Nicholas Burns. I have worked as a STEM educator for the last 10 years in multiple different capacities. I'm here to voice my opposition to allowing ICE into any school within Orange County. It is well-established law that any child, regardless of immigration status, is entitled to an education, free from governmental intimidation or obstruction. I urge the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District Board to uphold the law and, more importantly, uphold the trust and duty charged to them as educators, allowing an equal education opportunity for any student within their district. That is all. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, members of the board. Ben Stubbs. As a parent in the district, I believe in protecting all our kids and maintaining schools where students feel safe, welcome, and secure. The spirit of AB 49 points in that direction. I commend Trustee Landry Blades for bringing Resolution 2025 forward so that the board and community can openly discuss its implementation and where this district stands on law enforcement. In 2026, clarity matters. Across the country, we see public officials, even governors, questioning whether certain federal officers are legitimate law enforcement. We've seen very young students led into public protests opposing police. Parents deserve to know our district will not pick and choose which laws or officers it respects. This resolution, alongside AB 49 And updated policy reassures families that no one will obstruct lawful operations on campus, because when that happens, it creates danger and trauma for students. Policy may already exist, but families deserve a public, unified commitment to safety and the rule of law via this resolution. I support 2025. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Zen and I am a junior from El Dorado High School. I have some concerns regarding Leandra Play's Resolution 2525. She's a grown adult trustee on the school board, yet I question her expertise due to arguing with students via Facebook and Instagram. Even as a student, I can see that this is unprofessional. She is calling out students, falsely accusing them of propaganda, while she publicly posted all of the information on her Facebook. I do not approve of any of her actions, including bringing politics into our school. She claims she wants safety for all children, yet she's harmed people. As a student and child, I do not feel safe, and I speak for many of my peers when I say I want Leandra Blades out. I shouldn't fear a federal officer ripping me away from my family in an environment where I'm supposed to gain an education. I want Leandra Blades out. She clearly shows lack of human empathy and does not see what children truly need. And if she believes arguing online, downplaying strong feelings, and seeing us as manipulative and incompetent because we see her for who she truly is. And if that's someone you want working for your district, you count me and many other students transferring, because I shouldn't be scared that I will not make it home to my mother's arms. I should be scared about my academic performance.
My name is Darcy Garcia. This proposal is a contradiction in itself. It mentions the mission of the school district is to provide safe, secure, and supportive learning environment for all students and staff. How is allowing armed men wearing masks and not identifying themselves to remove children from our campuses safe, secure, or supportive? Claiming the need to protect national security. Please clarify what national security are the minors attending our schools threatening? You are directly compromising respect for the rule of law when you expose our youth to unlawful searches and seizures. Our principals and teachers have been working tirelessly building trust with our students, and if you have masked agents while armed with guns and pepper spray, forcing their way into classrooms so they can roughly place minors into handcuffs and cart them away to some random detention center, you'll be radicalizing our youth to not only turn on law enforcement as they grow up, but you're breaking all the trust that our teachers have built over years with their students. This is going to backfire in the highest order. Let's also consider that our school district is currently suffering from financial shortfalls. Can this visit the Florida mountain of lawsuits?
Hello, my name is Vivian Garcia, a student, and I'm a student at Kramer Middle School. I'm here because of the proposal that would allow ICE into our classrooms. School is a place to learn, a safe space where I spend most of my day, and that is how it should feel, safe. If I knew that ICE had the power to show up at our campus armed with weapons and chemicals whenever they felt like it on any given day, I would no longer feel safe. I would be too distracted worrying about my friend's safety, my classmates' safety, my teacher's safety, and my own safety to learn. Middle school is hard enough. Please don't allow this. Thank you for listening.
We are moving to our next group, number 43 through 49. 43, you'll be first. Or the rest of you, we have a front row here for you. You can just find a seat there. We'll call your name or your number soon. We're at 43.
Good evening. My name is Maxwell Liu and I'm a sophomore at Valencia High School. I'm here today to talk about Leandra Blades' resolution calling for district-wide support of ICE. Leandra Blades wants to deport and detain dangerous immigrants. But that's the problem. Our students at our schools aren't dangerous aliens. We are good people. We are children and we are members of society. We are hardworking. We care about our education. We care about our future and the future of our nation. And clearly, Leandra Blades doesn't agree with that. This resolution isn't to protect education, our safety, or our lives. This resolution is offered and proposed to support the MAGA and white supremacist agenda and implement it into our schools. Thank you.
Evening, my name is Sharif. I'm a father of a student at Yorba Linda High School. I've never done this before, so please. Allowing a gang of Proud Boys, groypers, white supremacists, insurrectionists, and general mercenaries in masks without identification or warrants into our schools is a crime in itself. You guys are here to protect our kids, not to count down to Jeffrey Epstein's best friend or his minions running around with conspiracy theories, and our students are getting paid, they're getting pushed with zero evidence. This happened somewhere else, they would get sued for defamation. Protect our kids. Don't listen to that crap. God bless you guys.
My name is Michael Saucedo. I raised my children here from elementary to high school, and I've coached sports in PYL many years as well. And to have this discussion at all in 2026 is quite frankly really, really embarrassing. I used to be proud of this district. I am not right now. We're here to demand no masked men with guns around our children. We will make sure this backfires on you, and it will, just by the way that this is playing out in our where we are in the United States now. So the media will know about it, the social media will know about it, everybody will know all the details about what you're doing. You guys are up for election in 2026 and 2028. Just do a good job, protect our kids, don't allow guns here. This is not the place for it.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening. My name is Amy Fujitani and my child attends Tynes Elementary School. I'm here today to speak out against agenda items 22.3 and 22.6. As a parent, I am horrified by the idea that we would open our schools, which is one of the very few places left where children can feel safe, to a group of armed and masked thugs without a court-issued warrant. Never mind allowing the school district to collect our children's immigration status to further threaten their ability to learn safely. This is not only unbelievable, it is unequivocally illegal. ICE has no place in our schools, let alone in our country. As stewards of our district, it is your responsibility to protect our children, our teachers, and our school staff by affirming that no one and no group is above the law. Vote no against these resolutions and keep ICE out of our schools. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alejandra and I am an alumni of the school district. And I want to also mention to vote no on agenda item 22.3, which would remove the district's policy to collect immigration or to not collect immigration information. Children are not criminals. No student should feel targeted or unsafe because of their race, language, culture, or immigration status. Allowing ICE activity around schools disrupts learning, harms mental health, and fractures trust between families and schools. The district has a responsibility to educate, not intimidate, to nurture, not divide. I urge you to clearly reaffirm that schools are safe spaces for all students. And I also want to remind the board that your actions have consequences that you'll have to live with for the rest of your lives.
My name is Bethany Anderson. I live in the Topaz Elementary neighborhood and run Solidarity, an organization serving students from Topaz, Kramer, Tuffrey, El Dorado, and Valencia. I also practice immigration law. If you need an education on how just about everything this administration is doing with regard to our immigration system and enforcement is in direct violation of our law, I'll need more than a minute, but trust me, this is a litmus test for the dismantling of our democracy, and you are playing right into the hands of white supremacy. Ms. Blades, your proposal isn't bold leadership, it's reckless against state law, and it tells immigrant families that their children are bargaining chips in your political performance. School exists to protect children and foster trust. This policy does the opposite. When an elected official tries to advance a policy that violates the law and erodes the safety of students, accountability is not optional. Mrs. Blades, if you cannot uphold your duty to protect all students and follow the law, you should resign immediately. Our children will learn about this time in our history. And the reality is that you, Ms. Blades, and any of you that support this policy will have to live in the shameful legacy of being on the wrong side of history.
My name is Cassie, and I'm a parent here at PYL. Our children really should be focused on learning, not on whether their friends or they themselves will be taken by masked men. Ask yourselves, how does this protect our children? How does it enhance their learning? If the answer is it doesn't, then we should not adopt this. I would say the district does not have to cooperate to this extent with ICE. You don't have to let them on campus like that. If parents don't feel safe sending their kids, they're not going to send their kids there. Nobody would. I wouldn't, you wouldn't, I'm sure. I would saw on your guys' profiles, log biographies that you guys are all Christians, you go to church. Remember that we all have to answer to God alone by ourselves.
Amen.
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 I'm Deborah Correa, I have two children in the district. I just wanted to say thank you for stating earlier in the year that ICE needs warrants. I would add IDs, please, also needed. And that teachers and staff cannot share immigration information. It doesn't need to be collected. I think resolution 2525 confuses the issue. It goes without saying that the district complies with legitimate law enforcement. That goes without saying. Of course we do. It doesn't need to be restated. What does need to be stated is support for children regardless of immigration status. Thank you.
We're at 51, and how many more do we have left? Through 55? Okay, so 51 through 55, we'll go ahead and move on with that if you haven't moved to the front yet. 56? Is there a 56? There's a 56. Okay.
My name's Adriana Gabriel Cruz, and I'm a parent within the district. I'm here tonight with deep concern and urgency to ask this board to exercise empathy, wisdom, and moral leadership, first and foremost, on behalf of the children you're elected to serve. Schools must remain safe, welcoming learning environments for all students. Regardless of your individual political beliefs, your responsibility as public servants is to act in the best interest of every student in this district. Approving a resolution that allows cooperation with ICE on school campuses would directly undermine that responsibility and place students at risk emotionally, psychologically, and socially. While Trustee Leandra Blades is entitled to her personal views, those views should never jeopardize the safety or emotional well-being of students. Controversy and political ideology must never take precedence over the fundamental mission of public education, protecting and educating children. I urge you to follow the example set by neighboring districts that have taken clear steps to protect students' safety, social and emotional well-being.
Good evening, Superintendent, Trustees, John Quackenbush. With Resolution 2525, Board Policy 1445 includes the respect for law enforcement and immigration enforcement while respecting the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The right of the students to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. We don't need an additional resolution that contradicts that throws other confusion in there. It's already stated in our board policy. Also, the Placentia PD, the county sheriffs already work together with the district respectfully. The district respects them, students respect them, the community respects them. There is already that respect there between us and the police. The last thing I want to say is you should be proud of the leaders that we've been talking about that you're developing with at least 10 students speaking tonight.
My name is Leanne Alraidi, and I don't understand why Leandra Blades would propose cooperation with ICE in our district when it is extremely discriminatory and unprofessional. My peers and I do not feel safe knowing that our schools would not stop ICE from entering our campus. The school board's top priority should be a student's safety, and this is clearly harmful, not only to our physical but also mental health. I noticed Leandra Blades has put effort into banning critical race theory, which is the study of how racism shapes our laws today. Her reasoning, according to ABC 7 Los Angeles, being that CRT is racist towards white people. So, the study of how racism affects our laws today is racist towards white people and inappropriate to be taught at schools. And I have this question. Why is it that the study of racism in our laws today is seen as inappropriate to be taught in schools while allowing ICE on our campuses is seen as acceptable? Students should worry about tests, not whether they will see their families tomorrow. ICE should be kept out of schools and out of Placentia.
Hi,
My name is Julie Herrick. I'm an alumni of Wagner, Van Buren, Teffrey, and El Dorado, and I'm here in solidarity with the students and parents in asking you to vote against Resolution 2025. In school, I learned about some dark chapters in our history and how we would never let them happen again. And today I'm grieved to watch my nation build a masked secret police force with no accountability and no regard for our constitutional rights. School should be a place where human rights are respected regardless of race or immigration status, and a place where all students feel safe to learn. Let's learn from our history and do better. ICE out of schools and ICE out of everywhere.
Good evening. My name is Jess. I'm a queer freshman at Yorba Linda High School. I've been in this district since kindergarten, ever since I immigrated to the US at 5 years old. I learned to speak English in this district. Resolution number 2525 threatens to turn our community into a place of fear. This resolution would allow ICE agents in private areas during school hours without judicial warrants. I hope you understand what that means to a student like me. It means sitting in class wondering if someone will walk through the door and take a classmate away. It means leaving for school every day not knowing if it'll be my classmate's last. It means students choosing silence and absence over learning. I want to be very honest with you. If this resolution passes, students will stop coming to school. Not because they don't care about education, but because fear is stronger than attendance policies. You cannot teach students who are afraid to be seen. This is not about politics. This is about our rights. I'm asking you to reject Resolution 2525. I'm asking you to keep me and my fellow students safe. I urge you to choose students over fear. Choose us. My little sister will be enrolled in this district next year. As an older sister, I urge you to protect our rights as students. Thank you.
Dave Radlow. I think the community has spoken in an overwhelming voice regarding the opposition to 2525, so I'm not even going to address that ridiculous proposal. My concern, however, has to do with Board Policy 1445. The language in the however paragraph contradicts all paragraphs before it. It prohibits, it says we should, the original text says we shall not allow these things to happen, but if they happen, we have to allow it. We can't do that. And that same language appears in 2525. We've got to find a better way to do this. The CSBA language was a suggestion as a starting point, not an end point. Including this language in our board policy is going to create confusion and is going to create a massive amount of litigation if ICE agents decide they are going to nonetheless enter our schools.
Okay, so that takes us now to our action items. Get to my chair. Okay, so we have moved, just so you're all aware, if you didn't hear before, we have moved those two policies up to discuss those first. So I'll need a motion first for adopting board policy 1445, response to immigration enforcement.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, and I'll open it up for any comments.
Well, I think we should put it up on the screen and then maybe I'll read it. This is our response to immigration enforcement, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
we all have a copy of it, so.
Well, is it up on the screen for everybody to see? Because I think that from what we've heard tonight, people have not read the policy or the resolution. I think that everybody needs to hear the policy and we should have it read. The governing board is committed to the success of all students and believes that every school site should be a safe and welcoming place for all students and their families, irrespective of their citizenship or immigration status. Unless required by state or federal law, required to administer a state or federally supported educational or presented with a valid judicial subpoena, judicial warrant, court order. District staff shall not do any of the following: solicit or collect information or documents regarding the citizenship or immigration status of students or their family members. Ed Code 234.7. Seek or require information or documents to the exclusion of other permissible information or documents regarding the citizenship or immigration status of a student or the student's family members. Education Code 234.7. To the extent practicable, disclose or provide in writing, verbally, or in any other manner to an officer or employee of an agency conducting immigration enforcement. The education records of any information about a student or a student's family or household, such as personal information as designed and defined in Civil Code 1798.3, information about a student's home, or information about a student's travel schedule without parent guardian written consent, Education Code 234.7. The personnel records of any district employee, personal information of any district employee as defined in Civil Code 1798.3, or any other confidential employee information, which is cited in Education Code 234.7 or Government Code 7285.2. Grant permission to an officer or employee of an agency conducting immigration enforcement to enter a school bus or any other transportation provided by the district, a non-public area of any district property or facility, or a non-public area where any district-sponsored program or activity is occurring. Education Code 234.7, Government Code 7285.1. However, district staff shall not obstruct, interfere with, or otherwise impede an officer or employee of an agency conducting immigration enforcement who nonetheless enters district-provided transportation, a non-public area of any district property or facility, or a non-public area where any district-sponsored program or activity is occurring. The superintendent or designee shall report to the board in a timely manner any request by an officer or employee of an agency conducting immigration enforcement for any of the following. Education Code 234.7. 1. Education records of any information about a student or a student's family or household. Personnel records of any district employee, personal information of any district employee as defined in Civil Code 1798.3, or any other confidential employee information. Permission to enter a school bus, any other transportation provided by the district, a non-public area of any district property or facility, or a non-public area where any district-sponsored program or activity is occurring. Such report shall be provided in a manner that ensures the confidentiality and privacy of any potentially identifying information. No student shall be denied equal rights and opportunities, nor be subjected to unlawful discrimination, harassment, intimidation, or bullying in the district's programs and activities on the basis of his or her immigration status. Education Code 200, 220, 234.1. Resources and data collected by the district shall not be used directly or by others to compile a list, registry, or database of individuals based on national origin, immigration status, religion, or other category of individual characteristics protected against unlawful discrimination. Government Code Section 8310.3. The superintendent or designee shall notify parents, guardians regarding information and notifications as specified in Education 234.7, including information regarding their child's right to a free public education regardless of immigration status or religious beliefs and their rights related to immigration enforcement. The superintendent or designee shall develop procedures for and may provide training to staff on addressing any requests by law enforcement officer for any of the following. Education records of or any information about a student or a student's family or household. Personnel records of any district employee, personal information of any district employee as defined in Civil Code 1798.3, or any other confidential employee information. Permission to enter a school bus, any other transportation provided by the district, a non-public area of any district property or facility, or a non-public area where any district-sponsored program or activity is occurring. Complaints alleging discrimination, harassment, intimidation, and bullying based on actual or perceived immigration status shall be filed in accordance with board policy or AR 1312.3 under the Uniform Complaint Procedures. The superintendent or designee shall provide to the California Department of Education, upon request and in the manner requested, copies of this policy, any associated administrative regulation, and any other board policies and administrative regulations required by Education Code 234.7.
Okay, before you get started, I want to pass it over. Thank you for reading it. Pass it over to staff, to Dr. Kim to introduce, because we didn't get a chance to do that. I skipped over. So apologies. You can.
Thank you. We'll hand it over to Dr. Pedraza, whose team has been a part of the development of this policy to meet the requirements by the state that we have the policy in place and uploaded by March 1st. So Dr.
Could you
Pedraza.
restate, Kim? Sorry, could you restate that, what you just said?
Yes. What did I just say?
Oh, yeah, there is a requirement by the state of California and Ms. Gray's gonna go through that background, so I'm gonna have her restate it if that's okay.
I'll go ahead and go through the background and then Baldwin will go through the policy in more detail.
Thank you.
Okay, so recent changes in state law, along with updated guidance from the California Department of Education and the California Attorney General's Office, including amendments to Education Code Section 234.7, have expanded school district responsibilities to safeguard students and families from immigration enforcement actions that could disrupt the educational environment or impede access to public education. So Assembly Bill 49 and related state directives require districts to align local policies with the Attorney General's revised model policies, ensuring appropriate staff training, inform families of their rights, and submit updated policies to the CDE by March 1st, 2026. This proposed policy replaces the recommendation to delete board policy 5145.13, student immigration status, which will be later on in the agenda. So at its core, this policy reaffirms PYL's longstanding commitment to maintaining safe and welcoming schools for all students regardless of immigration status. It strengthens protections related to confidentiality, access to campuses, and staff response to immigration enforcement requests while ensuring consistency with current legal requirements. These updates are about clarity, consistency, and compliance with state law, ensuring that we protect student rights and uphold every student's right to public education. And now Dr. Pedraza will go over details about it. And we do have legal counsel here who is an expert in this, and so he's there to answer any questions. His name's Tony DeMarco, and he's there next to Dr. Pedraza.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Ms. Gray. Good evening, President Buck, Board of Trustees, Dr. Kim, and members of our executive cabinet. Just as Ms. Gray shared, the move from one thing I wanted to point out as well too was the move from the student section to community relations as well too. So it's moving to a more collective community-based look at this piece as well. Again, the opening section does reaffirm the district's commitment to providing a safe, welcoming, and inclusive environment for all students and families, regardless of citizenship or immigration status. As well as in the next section with 1 through 4, we see that that section clearly states unless required by state, federal law, or presented with a valid court-ordered subpoena, warrant, judicial order, district staff shall not collect, seek, disclose any, or provide any information related to immigration status. And that is extended to students, families, as well as district personnel. And also not grant access to non-public school places. As well as we move forward into the policy, that next section, the paragraph that starts with however, it does, as you had meant, as we've seen, reinforce again that 1 through 4, without a judicial subpoena, warrant, or court order, what we don't want to see is we won't want to escalate the situation. So we won't want to, we don't want them, our staff, looking to escalate the situation. So even without our permission, if they do come on, we are not going to escalate the situation and put anybody in harm's way in terms of capability. The policy extends privacy protections not only for students and families, but also to district employees and personnel records as well. As mentioned, any complaints alleging discrimination, harassment, intimidation, or bullying based on actual perceived immigration status will be addressed through our uniform complaint procedures. And the policy confirms that parents and guardians are informed of their children's right to a free public education, regardless of immigration status, and their rights related to immigration enforcement. And our superintendent or designee shall establish clear procedures, provide staff training with appropriate response for responding to immigration enforcement requests, and you will operationalize those in administrative regulations as well. And then also to close up, immigration enforcement requests for access of information will be reported to the board in a timely manner while ensuring confidentiality and privacy. The policy confirms the district's obligation to provide the policy and related regulations as mentioned by the California Department of Education upon request. So overall, the revised policy strengthens clarity, aligns with the fully current state law, federal law, and ensures that our schools remain safe, welcoming, and legally protected spaces for our students, families, and for our staff as well.
Thank you, Dr. Pedraza.
Just a question, Mr. DeMarco, can you clarify the however district staff shall not obstruct and why that is there?
Of course, first, good evening. It's nice to be here with you guys. As Dr. Pedraza said, it is an element of risk management in part to not have our employees attempting to obstruct or interfere with law enforcement. It kind of goes with the paragraphs above. There's certain things that our employees may not do under the law. And as somewhat of an aside, those are established principles. These are not really new principles for us in advising school districts on how to interact with law enforcement. We've always required judicial warrants. We've always required lawfully issued subpoenas before we'll release this type of information. One of the questions that has come up is how do school district sites know what is a lawfully issued document? Through training is the answer. And when you're not able to discern as an employee what is or is not a judicially issued warrant or a lawfully issued subpoena, you ask legal counsel, we're very responsive to that. Absent those legal rights of law enforcement to enter campus, our typical instruction to staff is not to subject themselves to obstructing or interfering with law enforcement action of any kind. So this is really how we've been advising school districts for my whole career. It's about 25 years. Nothing has changed. What we're doing now is we're putting it in writing pursuant to the new state laws and the guidance of the DOJ and the CDE. Does that answer your question?
Mr. DeMarco, so what we're seeing here, what we're hearing from the crowd is that they're fearful now that with this policy going through and with the accompanying resolution, is ICE going to be able to just willy-nilly go onto campuses and kidnap children and kidnap family members?
I don't know about that specifically, the way it was worded with respect to the changes in state law. Your board policy as proposed 1445 adequately addresses not allowing them or granting them permission to come on campus. Whether law enforcement asserts themselves and enters any non-public areas or school buses or other district sponsored activities or locations, that's sometimes what law enforcement does. They refer to something called exigent circumstances. We have to deal with that after the fact. I'm aware of 2 instances in California so far since the elevated ICE activity has become prominent. Both of them were something that we were able to manage after the fact by interfacing with our local law enforcement, and then our local law enforcement interfaces with the federal authorities on our behalf.
And how many times in our district has federal law enforcement come onto our campuses?
Are you asking me? Okay.
I'm at whoever.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure, so I thought you were talking to Mr. DeMarco. In checking with Dr. Pedraza and our team, we do not have any documented that I'm aware of.
So everyone who's come here tonight yelling and screaming that ICE is in our campuses and ICE is taking the children.
Hey, please keep your comments down in the audience.
We can clarify, it hasn't happened, but it's not impossible to happen, and that's why we have this board policy in place to protect ourselves, correct?
Yeah, there's no way to predict what would happen today or tomorrow, but it has not at this point. The question that was asked, no. And you're right, there's no way to say it won't happen tomorrow. We can't say that.
I have a question, just because a suggestion has been made and they've used this in other districts. With that language there, however, district staff shall not physically impede an officer or employee. Can you talk a little bit about how would we be able to use that instead so that it's more definitive instead of just not obstruct, but physically? Striking, obstruct, interfere, or with or otherwise. So it would just say district staff shall not physically impede an officer or employee.
The only caution that I would give you is obstruction, interference. Those are defined terms. Obstruction in particular is one that's frequently used in the law enforcement community. Whereas
Can you maybe define that simply if possible?
I could look it up and respond for sure, but I do hear about obstruction of justice, obstruction on a regular basis. So the proposal that was floated was shall not
Physically impede.
I will submit that was the the intent of the language with, and from again, a risk management perspective is not having our employees physically intercede between law enforcement and their intended activities.
So would that be,
I'm just concerned about the word obstruct.
Concerned because what?
Because why?
we'll let Marilyn finish.
If I could finish my thought, I'd be happy to explain to you. Because obstruct means that you are resisting, delaying, or obstructing a police officer in an official performance of a lawful duty. And this section here is when they just are coming on without a warrant, correct? Or
No,
subpoena or.
that's not what this is talking about.
No, I don't think this is limited to circumstances where there's no warrant or other lawful permission to enter campus. It could be exigent circumstances as well.
Okay, because that's how I thought it was read. And I think that's why there's so much confusion about that part. And I just feel like it needs to be clear. So you're saying this, because I'm thinking of the word however, district staff's not gonna impede them if they come in without a warrant.
But I think that's the intent, is that district staff not subject themselves to any of these activities, whether you call it obstruction, interference, or physically impeding. That's not the role that we want our employees from a risk management perspective to take.
I tend to agree with the legal language that was put together by our council to make this follow what we needed to do and the requirements for the state and federal authorities. I mean, I don't understand why we would change the wording.
It's in the law.
Marilyn, do you have any suggestions on what would make it more clear to you?
Yeah, I just think if it's for safety, then we add in wording about safety. That we're just trying to keep our employees safe. But then it's contradicting because then we're putting our kids into a different situation. And I don't think it gives guidance to staff, like what to do. Like, are they supposed to contact law enforcement, contact superintendent?
Two things on that, Trustee Anderson, is number one, I would expect the administrative regulation to be far more comprehensive in the procedures that are required than your board policy, which is adopted to comply with law. And number two, I would expect that, again, from a risk management perspective, since I'm legal counsel, we would want staff to be in receipt of high-level, high-quality training by our district office administration. That might be Dr. Pedraza's job, I'm not totally certain. And then also in conjunction with local law enforcement as well.
Isn't it a felony to impede law enforcement?
I believe it might be. I could look that up for you. I'm not a criminal law expert. I was just basing this on the fact that I know that those are legal terms.
It is against the law to impede law enforcement,
I
so that
imagine
would
that
probably
it is.
fall under FAR. Excuse me, can you have this person be quiet? Or is it your?
I can handle it.
Well, then
but you
handle
were
it.
talking.
Handle it.
So please keep comments down. Handled. Handled. Go ahead.
This gentleman.
Do you want to keep making comments or do we want to just talk to the
I just
audience?
want you to get control of the meeting, not allow.
The
your
meeting
friends
is
to have
totally in
no-
control. Please go on with your comments or move on to the next person.
So this is basically it is against the law for people to impede or obstruct law enforcement. So that's why this is, however, district staff shall not obstruct or interfere with, because it is against the law. So that's.
Please stop, please, sir. Sir, you can, please stop and thank you for leaving. So I have a question. There's a section at the bottom. And I think it's a handful of, it's at the paragraph toward the bottom where it has the 1, 2, 3 under it. So it starts with the superintendent or designee shall develop procedures for and may provide training to staff on. I would like to strike may and add shall so that that becomes a requirement. even, we're shall develop procedures, but we may provide training. I think we need shall develop procedures and shall
Where, Carrie,
provide
what
training.
line?
It is,
It's above the number one. So I think correct.
yes, above the number, the last series of 1, 2, 3s. On that second page there. 1, 2.
I see.
The superintendent or designee shall develop procedures for and may provide training.
I'm good with that one.
So you're wanting to say shall twice?
Yes. Shall, and shall or will is fine. It needs to be not a may. Is there anything that we can do in the paragraph where it says, however, district staff shall not shall not obstruct, interfere otherwise? Is there anything that we could add regarding, if, like reinforcing the fact that we would have to have a judicial warrant and all of those? I know it's stated above, but would it be appropriate to make it more clear in that paragraph if we add those lines, restating them?
But what happens when you have exigent circumstances, or if you have circumstances like that, and then you have somebody impeding law enforcement because they say, well, you didn't have a warrant, and the officer says, well, this was exigent circumstance. I mean, are you going to put an employee that doesn't have any type of experience
I don't want
whatsoever?
any employees to be at risk, and I don't,
Then
I would
that's
never
why they don't
encourage
impede.
them.
Then that's why you say don't instruct or impede law enforcement, you won't be at risk.
And I think, Carrie, I think the point of this is that in general, no matter what the circumstances, you do not obstruct.
Right, I don't, if somebody came through the front office and they were going through and throwing your body in front of them could cause even more problems. I would never suggest that any of our staff do that, but I do want to make sure that we have procedures in place. If that happens, what are the steps that are gonna be taken?
If what happens, if they obstruct?
No,
No,
if
if it-
somebody comes in
somebody
and
comes-
tries to push through.
I just think,
And I think that would be in the AR though. I mean, I feel like we have this conversation a lot about trying to put actual actionable steps inside of policies when that's not the place for them. It's in the AR where it defines how we do the procedure. Like that's the support for this policy and how we operate it. So I think that those are all good, and I'm assuming those are gonna be in the AR and it's very clear and very detailed, and the training is gonna be great. I think the important part here is that, just like you said, Carrie, you should not be throwing your body in front of law enforcement and doing things to obstruct the law enforcement as they come on campus, regardless of how it happens, because we want to keep our staff safe, want to keep our students safe in all of this.
I have this, I kind of worked on this because this paragraph bothered me for several reasons, but something about district employees are not authorized to participate in or intervene in law enforcement activities, including immigration enforcement action. In the event such activity occurs on district property at a district-sponsored event or on a district-provided transportation, staff shall refrain from involvement and promptly notify the superintendent or designee or site administration as possible.
Where's that at?
That's what I.
A suggestion?
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, it's alternative.
I
So-
don't understand, I don't understand that because it is basically saying, if law enforcement comes onto the campus, then obviously they have a duty and we won't get in the way. And so I don't understand why you put it any other way. They're not supposed to get in the way of law enforcement. You're supposed to support and cooperate. If they need something and they have a judicial warrant and they have all the proper things, then you give them you give them the information. If it's exigent circumstances, I would suggest everybody gets out of the way and lets them do their job. It's just like the bomb threat we had at Yorba High School. Did anybody, when they came tearing through the doors, did anybody say, do you have a warrant? Do you have this? Do you have that? No, because they were there for the safety of the kids. They had their guns drawn. They went in there and they protected these kids. They put everybody on lockdown. What would happen if a teacher says, no? Where's your warrant? We're not locking down Yorba High School because you don't have a warrant. That would have fallen under some type of exigent circumstance. And then people like laugh, but things like this happen. Things like this happen. And so this is just an example.
Please stop. We can't have conversation with the audience. I'm sorry, but this is our.
But I think that this is also too, if people have so focused on ICE, what everything is talking about too, and even in the resolution is not just discussing ICE, it's talking about federal, state, and local law enforcement. Because all of them come onto our campuses. Like we've said, nobody federal right now, but if we have a kidnapping, God forbid a kidnapping occurs or some type of thing, they chase bank robbers. If we have a bank robbery and somebody gets chased on campus, FBI comes out and FBI handles a lot of kidnappings and bank robberies. There's things like that that federal agencies handle. Now, we've just said no federal people have come onto our district, but it does happen. So when you say federal, local, state, there's different things. And so
Please, don't, please stop, because I don't want to have to clear the room. I want you to be able to hear and see what's happening, but it can't be disruptive.
And so I think that that's where all this misinformation is coming from, because everybody is like, even as we're sitting here and again,
Please.
as we sit here and listen to everyone has come up here and only referenced ICE, but this policy and the resolution talks about local, state, and federal law enforcement. And as we're sitting here and we're talking about all of the warrants and all of the reasons that they need, judicial subpoena, warrant, court order. They need all of these things to get onto the campus except exigent circumstances. And still people are sitting here not wanting to ignore these facts. ICE is not coming onto our campuses. Federal law enforcement is not coming onto our campuses. Like that is not happening. But, and two, and I'm very disappointed. I'm going to say this too. I'm extremely disappointed with the leadership of this district because as this false narrative came out, as things like this were coming and as social media were doing false reports, there was false things in over social media about kids from El Dorado getting stopped by ICE. All of these things were happening that weren't true. And there was so much fear mongering in this community. All of what we would have needed is an email. This is the board policy that's coming up on Tuesday. And everyone could have sat there and read this policy and said, oh, this is about local law enforcement, state and federal law enforcement and how they can get onto our campuses. They could have read that. Everybody could have said, this really doesn't differ too much from what we already have in place, except this expands into families and communities. And then maybe we couldn't have had social medias and socialist clubs and PYLUSD and Yorba Moms and all these people coming out and running a false narrative and spreading the heck out of it.
Okay, so I'm
I'm done. So so this is the thing. We need to have more leadership out of the district when things like this happen, because you come up here and all these people, ICE is gonna come onto our campus. They're gonna come in with masks. They're white supremacists. They're this, they're that. You're sitting here and we just had law enforcement come onto our campus to protect our kids. Every single day, we have law enforcement on our campuses to protect our kids. But suddenly, we're fearful of ICE when ICE has not been in our campuses. The kid that Yorba Moms put out that said that he was stopped by ICE and he was detained and asked for his papers. We know what that really happened. That was an 18-year-old who was stopped by Anaheim PD because he was on a bike and he was weaving in and out of traffic and he was doing dangerous things. A gang unit from Anaheim PD saw the child or saw the 18-year-old and went to go stop him because he was almost taking out cars and he was causing traffic incidents. And so when they went to pull him over, he ran. And so when he ran and the officers chased him, he fought with the officers and was arrested for obstructing. And so we have people saying this was an El Dorado student who was stopped by ICE. Did we have anybody from this district say, no, this is not happening? Did we have anybody from leadership here giving this policy out and saying this is not happening? We can't just allow this type of stuff to infiltrate our community and run a false narrative, especially against our officers who are supposed to protect us.
Mr. DeMarco, I have a question for you regarding this policy. Knowing, I forgot the word now, that sometimes happens when it's after the fact. What was it? Exigent circumstances. Exigent circumstances. Could we put in here something related to that? However, exigent circumstances happen sometimes law professionals, law enforcement need to come in without proper documentation and emergency. Something in there, define it a little bit more.
Or put it in the administrative regulation. I was currently sidebar with Dr. Pedraza. We could have an administrative regulation done prior to the next piece. So this is something that we can move very quickly on, and I think that would address some of Trustee Anderson's concerns. We could accept, if you'll send it to us, the suggestions that you provided orally today as well. We can do something with that with some dispatch.
So this is a first reading. We have requirements by March 1st.
If we upload this discussion and that we brought it forward, I think we'll be okay in talking to surrounding districts, some of them having been brought forward this month. So I think CDE knows that maybe it won't be right by March 1st, but it's well intended and we're having a discussion about it now.
But if we're talking about the ARs, that has nothing to do with the policy.
Right.
No, but it
Well-
would give us more clarity.
No, I understand, but that won't change the policy.
Yeah,
True.
So I'm curious why we wouldn't just do it now so we're okay.
and then go over the AR at the next board meeting.
And I have a few questions. Mr. DeMarco. Are you being paid to be here?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate that. Why are you here being paid to be at a board meeting?
I have a couple questions for that. One of them is I don't normally go to board meetings for free, but I don't think that's what you're getting at. I was invited by administration to come address this.
Perfect. Because you are an
I'm
attorney.
one of the attorney that works for your school district.
Correct. And your opinion is that this language is the language that we should be using in this policy to be in line with required policy between state and federal across the board.
That's right. The policy is a byproduct of a task force my firm put together in response to the changes in state law. This has been vetted through statewide experts who collaborated on your specific changes actually to these policies.
Yeah, great. Okay, so not just you, but an army of attorneys have come together.
We're talking literally fives of attorneys, yes.
Okay, perfect. So the Avengers of attorneys have come together. Got it, perfect. I feel like based on the language, based on the requirements, based on the timing, I think I would defer to our attorneys' work that we're paying for and the opinion of a brain trust of attorneys to do this in a way that is the best for our district. So I think we should just vote on it and get it done.
And just to clarify, not every district's policy is gonna look exactly the same. Everybody's gonna tweak it to what they need and to what is appropriate and within the law.
I would say it's very typical for board policies to look similar but not congruent, and for administrative regulations to be holdovers.
So we could change it. It's possible if needed.
This is gonna sound a little contradictory, but yes, the CSBA, California School Boards Association, and the Gamut Brain Trust, put together this model policy. That said, it meets all of the guidelines of the state. On the other side of that, to your point, school districts will always look to fine tune based on what they feel like their needs are and utilize the support of our legal counsel to make sure that any change we do propose still keeps us within the confines of the law. So both of those two things can be true.
I just heard a lot of confusion that people, especially with this paragraph. So that's why I think it just needs another look at it.
I think that's because of communication though, Marilyn. I don't think that's because of the policy itself. I think it's because of the way it was communicated to the community.
Well, I think the community read it themselves.
I think it's really understood.
It's able to understand the context of the whole policy, how confusing it is and what it can be interpreted as.
Written by attorneys so that we are within the letter of the law.
And I
Correct,
think
and so
too,
it's
when the board agenda comes out on a Friday afternoon, the board agenda comes out Friday afternoon, correct?
Early, mid,
Okay, so the board agenda came out Friday afternoon, and this was the fear mongering and the walkout for El Dorado was Friday at 10:30 a.m. So how did anybody see this board policy? Nobody could see it, so they were already walking out, and social media was already erupting.
I think
That
they
all
were
of these
walking up based on
policies-
something else.
That we just said was absolutely ridiculously wrong.
From what I understand, the walkouts were not necessarily in response to this immigration enforcement board policy, from what I've seen and what I've heard. I think it's just in general, again,
Just walking
out because of things that have happened in our country and things that they've seen and personally have experienced, which I don't think, like I said, necessarily may regard this board policy, and some of it may have been for this board policy. But I just think it's kind of ironic that you're bringing up scenarios that could happen, maybe have been, but yet downplaying scenarios that have happened and could happen. This concern is coming from a community that has seen it happen.
Where though?
ICE has been in our communities in Placentia,
We're talking.
but we
talking
have
about-
not been in sites.
We're talking about schools.
These students have seen it in their neighborhoods. They have seen it in their community. And this is, they've actually witnessed it. That it might not have happened in their school, but it has happened in their neighborhood.
And this is building guidelines around what we do as a response.
This has nothing to do.
If ISIS is in the
You know what,
community,
I'm not even
having,
going
no,
to.
well, no, if ISIS in the community enforcing the
has-
law, are
Does anybody else have any questions related to actual
Nobody answer that,
words?
Marilyn? You brought it up, you don't wanna answer it?
No, you're downplaying what these students have said. That you're downplaying their fear. You're downplaying their parents' fear. But it is a real reality to many of the families in our community.
Yeah.
We have seen students not coming to school. We have seen parent participation drop in certain of our communities. These things are real, and you can't just pretend that it doesn't happen because ICE hasn't been on a campus.
But in working, doing what they're supposed to do, immigration enforcement. Suddenly enforcing the law is not okay, even though they haven't been doing it in our schools. So you're just, you're against ICE enforcing the law in the community.
I think the important
Please
part here
don't.
is that
That's what you're saying?
No, I'm not
Then
saying
why
that
are you talking about ICE being in the community if there's a problem?
because
You don't want them enforcing the law?
I think this board policy just needs to really reflect the concerns of the community and making sure that our students are represented.
With this step, this board policy is in line with what is required. It was created by our attorneys, and the whole point of it is to keep our district safe. That's the whole point. I don't, you keep going off on these tangents of downplaying fears, and yes, there are things that happen, and people are fearful of lots of things all over the place. I think unfortunately, people are being manipulated to raise that level more than it needs to be. However, I do understand that things happen. That's true. This policy is required, and it has been created by our attorneys with language that fits exactly what it needs to be so that we have dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's, and we are covered when it comes to the requirements put on us by the state as a local government body.
So this is our first read of this policy. We always have a second read. So I would like you to work this paragraph a little bit and see if we can get some more clarity. I understand that we
But
have,
the timing is what, March
but we
1st?
have till March first, but I still would like them to consider all of the discussion that we've had today. We can't delay because of March first, but I think we need to have some additional feedback at the next meeting, because that's the only time when we can talk and get together. And
we have a
maybe,
motion,
maybe
so we
the
need to vote.
ARs as well. I didn't say that we were gonna not vote. I said we need to bring it back because we have second readings and there's some really important conversations that we've had and some adjustments that I think could be made to make it a bit more clear.
I think he's gonna need some, I mean, Tony, do you need some more clarity on how to make this more clear? It's pretty freaking clear.
No, I think I have the gist of it, trustee Blades. I also, have been sidebarring with Dr. Pedraza. I think we can handle it.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
I,
I,
Aye.
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 And opposed? None. So that motion carries 5-0.
I can make the motion. An amended alternative resolution 2025 in support of law enforcement.
you can't do that. It's not on the agenda.
Yes, it can be done as an alternative.
It's not agenda.
Can I have a second, please? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second, Mrs. Quintero, since you're proposing an alternative, will you share that with us, please?
I would like to, keeping the first whereas and in the second whereas, strike state and federal law enforcement in the first sentence and strike the second, the second sentence, keeping the third and fourth whereas, strike the fifth whereas, keep the now therefore, be it resolved that Placentia Yorba Linda Board of Education affirms its support for local law enforcement officers, strike the rest of the paragraph, keep the next two paragraphs, strike the third, be it further resolved, then change the last paragraph to, be it further resolved that the board encourages respectful dialogue and transparency with students, parents, employees, community, and local law enforcement agencies.
So this is not an alternative. Okay, so hold on a second. This is not an alternative resolution. This is the same resolution I brought forward with you wanting to strike it. So this isn't an alternative resolution. This is the same resolution I brought forward. Oh, and then
It's an alternative. It's acceptable.
You've needed 5 or 6, 7, 8 days to read it before you view any of this. Is it somehow different today? Yeah. So this has not been on the agenda. This is my same resolution with some strikes. So what we should do is
We've already got a motion and a second, so we're
Well,
going forward with this one.
It's an absolute ridiculous thing because she said she did a new resolution. This is my resolution.
I
And she's
didn't
trying to-
say new resolution, I said amended.
Alternative.
An alternative resolution.
Okay, so let's
This is absolute.
take a moment to read through it.
Do we have the resolution up? Original?
The original or the second original?
Okay. Yeah.
But before we get started,
I'm talking, Jeremy, can we have the original resolution, because it is this, except what Tricia Quintero did was just cross out a bunch of lines. So if the public would like to follow along, this is my resolution. All she's done is strike a bunch of lines.
So
Can we put it up?
Mrs. Quintero, since Mrs. Blades read hers in entirety, would you like to read what you're proposing?
Mine in entirety, I'll go next.
You read the other one.
Yeah, I read our board policy.
Right, you read
Yeah.
board policy.
And we'll read this out.
She's going to read the one that we're considering.
Whereas the mission of Placentia Yorba Linda School District is to provide a safe, secure, and supportive learning environment for all students and staff. And whereas local law enforcement agencies work in partnership with schools to protect campuses, respond to emergencies, and to promote community safety. And whereas respect for the rule of law is a foundational principle of our nation and an important value to model for students. And whereas educators and administration rely on the cooperation with public safety agencies to ensure preparedness, emergency response, and now therefore be it resolved that the Placentia Yorba Linda Board of Education affirms its support for local law enforcement officers. Be it further resolved that the board recognizes the essential role of these agencies play in maintaining public safety and protecting schools, families, and neighborhoods. Be it further resolved that the board commits to maintaining open, cooperative relationships with all public safety partners to ensure campus security and emergency readiness. Be it further resolved that the board encourages respectful dialogue and transparency with students, parents, employees, community, and local law enforcement agencies.
Okay, and then mine was, whereas the mission of the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District is to provide a safe, secure, and supportive learning environment for all students and staff. Whereas local law enforcement agencies Tricia tried to strike state and federal law enforcement, so she only wants to basically comply with local law enforcement agencies. Work in partnership with schools to protect campuses, respond to emergencies, and promote community safety. Are charged with enforcing federal, state, and local law and protecting national security in accordance with their sworn duties. Whereas respect for the rule of law is a foundational principle of our nation and an important value to model for students. And whereas educators and administrators rely on cooperation with public safety agencies to ensure preparedness, emergency response, and crisis management. And whereas harassment, misinformation, or fear-based narratives directed at law enforcement personnel undermine public trust and compromise community stability. That is what Tricia's tried to strike. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Placentia Yorba Linda Board of Education affirms its support for local law enforcement officers and federal immigration officers who carry out their duties professionally and lawfully. Per PYLUSD Board Policy 1445, district staff shall not obstruct, interfere with, or otherwise impede an officer or employee of an agency conducting immigration enforcement who nonetheless enters district provided transportation, non-public area of any district property facility, or a non-public area where any district sponsored program or activities occurring. Be it further resolved that the board recognizes the essential role these agencies plays in maintaining public safety and protecting schools, families, and neighborhoods. Be it further resolved that the board commits to maintaining open, cooperative relationships with all public safety partners to ensure campus security and emergency readiness. Be it further resolved that the board affirms classrooms are places for education, not political activism, and that district communications and materials provided to students shall prioritize academic instruction, safety, and age-appropriate content. That is what Tricia has struck. Be it further resolved that the board encourages respectful dialogue, transparency with parents, and community unity. And then she struck while rejecting fear-mongering and politicization of public safety issues. So what is happening here is she's taken my resolution and basically allowing teachers now to pass out the anti-ICE cards and to pass out
To clarify that, and you're talking about misinformation, is that those are not anti-ICE cards, they are constitutional rights that every student.
And also, so this email that I got, an issue in my daughter's US history class today, the teacher had students listen to a far left podcast discussing the ICE incident in Minnesota. And basically told everyone he didn't want to hear it or disagree. Anybody to disagree with this down to the podcasters. And if they did, they were wrong and he didn't want to hear it. And right after he went on a rant criticizing Trump over the events in Venezuela, nothing of the topic had anything to do with the curriculum or lesson plans. And so this is what's going on in our classrooms. And this is the type of thing that they want to allow to go in the classrooms to help teachers go far off of the curriculum. What is our reading levels at? 50%, 60%? Our kids can't do math or read, but let's have our teachers get up in front of the classroom and tell you how to evade law enforcement and talk about stuff that's not part of our district curriculum and politicize law enforcement, speak down to law enforcement. He called ICE and law enforcement murderers.
So to clarify, I agree, our reading and math scores do need improvement, but also up here as a board, that's what we need to be emphasizing, not our political. Why is it okay that we can bring politics into the boardroom, but teachers can't?
Not bringing
The teachers bring that to as well.
So this is very different. In a classroom, teachers are paid. They are paid employees. and
We
they're
are-
given- No, we're not employees. We are not employees.
Do you receive a paycheck?
You receive a stipend. City councils receive a
So
stipend.
a coach is not an employee, a walk-on coach is not an employee because they receive a stipend,
Did a coach have to go through an election? You're an elected official.
but it doesn't matter. You're still an employee and a representative of the school district.
Jeez. So,
Okay, please,
yeah.
please stop.
Yeah. So it's very different when employees such as teachers are given district curriculum and you're told to teach math and you aren't teaching math when you're sharing podcasts and when you're talking about law enforcement. There is nothing wrong with saying we're not going to let teachers have political agendas in the classroom, which is exactly what you're striking. There's no reason. If a law enforcement officer comes, picks up a kid say, or has somebody in their car for some reason, or the SRO. The SRO goes around campus and says, you know what? All the teachers here suck. Your teachers suck. You guys aren't learning anything. What do you think his employer is gonna do?
What this is related to.
Yeah.
It's
So is this
absolutely,
resolution in support of law enforcement or to make sure that teachers don't politicize their classrooms?
it's both. It's both.
Please, ma'am, you need to leave. Thank you very much. Ma'am, you need, please leave. Thank you.
Yeah.
Some of you wouldn't like one side, the other would be like the teachers should pop.
Thank you very much. Please go.
Thank you. All we're asking all we're asking is like for everything, because actually, when you strike all this, you're actually striking the confidential, the controversial issues policy that we have in place.
That's
We're
not true.
not-
That's totally separate.
No, it's not. It's a controversial issue to call ICE and law enforcement murderers.
It has nothing to do with this policy. So please stop,
It
everybody.
is a
So
controversial issue to do a podcast and to say that there's only one opinion and that of the teachers. If you're going to introduce something.
my suggestion,
Both sides.
my suggestion would be when you get these emails that you refer them to the superintendent so
As
she
I
can
have.
hand it.
As I found.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have this resolution here from Tricia, and it's
It's my resolution.
it has some that is stricken out of it, but that's not the one we're voting on. The one we're voting on is it's without all of that.
Tony, is there any like thing on here, they took a resolution and then they presented something that she struck in that's not on the board agenda? Can we get some legal opinion here, just so we know in the future, if there's resolutions, we can start
Is it
striking
acceptable?
and crossing things out and then calling it a different resolution?
Is it acceptable to propose an alternate resolution?
So within Robert's rules, there is the opportunity to amend anything, and if, I haven't seen
Yeah.
what's the amendment is, but it would typically be that the original resolution is offered and then through motions is amended. What I would call, what trustee Quintero proposed, I think called it a substitute motion.
Okay.
But it came to the floor first, so I think the priority would be to vote on it. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you.
I think the question is though, it's not a substitute motion because it is an amendment to the original.
It's my resolution, it's just crossed out lines on it.
So-
It's proposed first, so that was.
But it's
is
the same
one we
resolution.
Take first.
Okay,
It's
can I ask a couple questions, Tricia? Why do you want to cross out state and federal law enforcement?
Because we usually work with local law enforcement. Like
But
you
we
just
just
said, in case of us kidnapping, it's federal, in case of
But
those
you,
are rare
but you
events.
just voted to pass a board policy,
Correct, that followed the law.
exactly, which includes state and federal law enforcement.
This is not a board policy, this is a resolution.
No, I understand that, but why now are you opposed to state and federal law enforcement simply being in the sentence?
I'm not opposed to federal law enforcement.
I
in
didn't say
general.
that.
I'm just
I
saying,
said, why are you
as it
opposed to being in the
pertains to
sentence?
PYL and what we deal with on a daily basis, this is the local law enforcement is what we deal with on a daily basis. So if this is a law enforcement, in support of law enforcement resolution, that is what we're doing. We're supporting our local law enforcement.
So then why did you want to cross out state and federal law enforcement? You didn't answer the question.
Because like I just said, local law enforcement is what we deal with on a daily basis.
But we just
Don't
passed a
quite-
policy, dealing with state and federal as well.
Correct, because that's what was required by the law. This is not, this is not a board policy, this is a resolution.
I understand. I would request that we put state and federal law enforcement back in because it's taking it out just means that you're saying, I want to ignore state and federal for whatever reason you want to. Well, you're taking it out. So what do you call it?
It's
just
saying
not
before-
acknowledging.
local.
Okay,
That's
not
not
acknowledging, ignoring, we can play word salad all we want. But I think that for this, I understand that you're wanting to take out the fear mongering and some of that language. I don't think that it belongs in classrooms, and I think that's a problem.
Agreed.
I understand why maybe you wouldn't want to do this, and then,
Wait, she said agreed.
I agree that
Take it
fear
out.
mongering and does not belong in a class.
right,
So why don't we put it back in? Why'd you take it out?
Because this is not a
Can I-
a
okay.
resolution.
I have another question.
Policy.
I have
It's
another
law
question,
enforcement
Tricia, I
support.
have another question. you also crossed out the part that literally quotes the board policy we just passed.
Correct, because it's
Why?
not being used in the proper context,
Why is it not being used in the proper context?
because that was in regards to the rest of the context above. Using it alone is not in the proper context.
I agree.
But that this portion says is that we will not obstruct or otherwise impede an officer or employee. I think that's a good statement to make. We just passed it. Why wouldn't you want?
Okay, so we just passed it, it's on that board policy, so why do we need to repeat it in here?
Because we are reiterating it with a resolution to
Or
support.
support law enforcement does not.
Why do you have to reiterate something you just passed?
Then why do
If
we have
this
any
resolution-
resolutions?
If this
You can drop the whole thing.
Drop it.
I agree.
And support
But state the
law enforcement
federal-
means we're not going to impede law enforcement officers doing a job.
But
That's
it's not,
stated already in the policy, so it doesn't need to be here.
this is not the whole story.
This is a support of law enforcement. We're supportive of our local law enforcement. Thank you
Just
for
local,
being
but
here
not
tonight.
state and federal.
This policy,
Not
the
state and
way it
federal.
is written, is all about local, and I support it.
No, well, oh my God.
The way it was amended.
I,
the way
I
it's
support the
amended.
way that it was proposed tonight with the strikeouts.
So let me get this straight. The state tells us to put in a board policy that has to do with state and federal law enforcement. They're not even talking about local law enforcement. So we put in a board policy because the state says, this is important enough for you guys to enact this policy. You have to do it. It's a force. It's not a, you can't. It is a, you shall enact this policy. And so to make sure, because we have teachers on X, we have teachers on social media saying, I will impede and I will obstruct law enforcement. They are saying this. So I said, let's go and let's make a resolution to support basically exactly what the policy says. I mean, the board policy is actually just talking, it doesn't even really say local, it says state and federal. So we put in here, we're going to support local, state and federal law enforcement. And you guys want to take out the state and federal law enforcement, but it's the state who's making sure that we are cooperating. And so what sense is it? So now you're gonna put more stuff. Well, we're gonna ignore state and federal, but we might cooperate.
Again, the resolution, as I have amended, is not, should have nothing to do with the board policy. The board policy is the board policy. You brought this up saying it was a resolution in support of law enforcement.
Oh my gosh.
So technically, as you wrote it the first time, it was not even necessary because everything, like you said, was stated in the board policy itself. It was just extra.
It was extra to address what's happening in the classrooms and to provide
Again,
leadership from
is it
and to
was it
provide leadership from the district that tells your employees that we are not going to badmouth.
That needs to be
law
a separate resolution, not a support of law enforcement.
Supporting law
resolution.
enforcement means that you're not going to obstruct and impede, and we're not going to allow our staff to trash talk the people who are on our campuses daily, or to trash talk and to say all the things and to make it a politicization. We're
And
going
you
to
know
stay
this because
quiet.
you're in classrooms listening.
You know what? I know this because there's enough students and there's enough people who are complaining about it. And you know what? And then when you also go to X and you say, and people say, I'm a PYLUSD employee and I will obstruct law enforcement. Well, then maybe we
We
have
have
an
no
issue.
control over what's happening on social media, obviously.
But you do have control over what's happening in the classroom.
Yes, and we do have control over what we're gonna do with this resolution. So, Marilyn, would you like to make any comments on it before I call for the vote?
No, I think it's appropriate that we are amending this, so we're staying focused on law enforcement. This bounces back to teachers and polarization, keeping it out of the classroom. I mean, it's all over the place. If this does not, there's a lot of wording in here that is not appropriate for supporting law enforcement, and I do support law enforcement. I'm so glad that you
Please stop.
that I don't support law enforcement. I've been married to a police officer who did 30 years with the city of Anaheim. I where I spent a lot of my time going into the poor areas of our community and dealing with the fear mongering and the fear that that our immigrant population has with law enforcement working that. I've seen it firsthand. I have had to support people that were being victimized because of their immigration status and letting them know that it's okay to talk to the police and helping them get over that fear and letting the police officers into their home to report things. And I think the most grievous thing I saw was a man dying of cancer and his family was threatening to turn him in unless he paid them. This happens all the time. I've also worked with Project 999. It's a memorial ride that raises money for officers who have been wounded and killed in the line of duty. I have supported that ride more years than I can count. I have gone to police memorials. I have been there helping the riders get to their places. So, yeah, I do support law enforcement. I'm active in the community.
Putting in this resolution, when you're supporting law enforcement, that the Board of Homes classrooms are places for education, not political activism, and not talking trash about police officers will be an appropriate place to have in a resolution.
This
from what you're saying.
doesn't mention police officers at all. It just says that classrooms are places for education, which I agree, and not political activism, and that the district communication materials provided to students shall prioritize academic instruction, safety, and age-appropriate content. This has nothing, that paragraph has nothing to do with law enforcement. If I was gonna put something there
While
that has
rejecting fear
something,
mongering or politicization of public safety issues.
if I was going to do
That was
something,
crossed out.
excuse me, it's my turn to talk.
Okay.
If I was gonna do something that supports law enforcement, I would probably say something like, local law enforcement officers to sit and maintain safety and order during board meetings and district events, respond to criminal and suspicious activity on campus, and provide rapid response during critical incidents. I would be positive. I would also say local law enforcement officers collaborate with district leadership in prevention, safety planning, training, and emergency preparedness efforts to promote coordinated communication and proactive campus safety measures. I would praise our school resource officers who are present on our district campuses daily, fostering positive relationships with students, supporting staff, and contributing to safe, welcoming learning environments. These are the things that I would say, and I would love to put these in the resolution, to thank them. I mean, just at our last meeting, we had a power outage and our two SROs has saved us. They had light on and we didn't even know it was going on. They are here to protect us. I have seen their interactions personally. And I have mentioned a few of them publicly in my board comments. I have written letters to the chief of police praising the officers and doing things. So yeah, if I was going to support law enforcement, these are the things that I would say. I would not be talking about fear mongering and other things that don't have anything to do with our law enforcement.
Marilyn, is that something we should consider? Are you suggesting we add?
You're
Well-
welcome to.
Well, I think too, when we're talking about that could be like a law enforcement appreciation resolution.
That would have been great to bring in May.
Yeah, in May. But however, this one is written because it actually goes along with the board policy that we just passed. So all of the things that you just said were wonderful. However, my resolution was geared towards putting it in conjunction with the board policy. So that's why we talked about state, local, and federal law enforcement. That's the difference there.
And I would like to also state that the difference between a resolution and a board policy is a board policy is a rule and a board resolution is a statement. They are different, which is why they're reiterating the same thing. They have different functions. So to ask the question, why is it reiterating it? Because that's what a resolution does. As opposed to a board policy, which is a rule. So that's literally the reason that it's different. That's why you would say the same thing in a resolution, because it's a statement of governance as opposed to a board policy, which is a rule. Even though they're,
Mayor, go ahead.
so I'm saying, my request would be that we keep in state and federal law enforcement. Don't strike that. We keep in the statement that is from the policy. And then if you want to take out the fear mongering and things, then we handle that at an actually administrative level and hold teachers accountable for doing things in classrooms they should not be doing. I think we should do that,
Okay.
regardless of which side.
So do we have majority saying we want to add state and federal law enforcement?
Yes,
I do not.
yes, it falls in line with our board policy.
It's a statement of
Statement that goes along with
governance.
our board policy.
I think for this one, it's our local law enforcement. I want to keep it out of this one.
As long as we can keep out the problematic paragraph that we have spent so much time discussing. And I think this resolution is perfectly an example of how that wording is being manipulated and why.
I'm not suggesting we add that.
Add that.
Just
Are you adding state, are you talking about the state and federal law enforcement, or where are you?
You're talking about the now they're first
Now
resolved,
therefore be it resolved.
where it reiterates that the paragraph from the policy. You're saying you don't want that because you think that's confusing?
It's very confusing.
Okay. So I say that the second paragraph, the state, federal law enforcement, we work in partnership with schools, protect campuses, respond to emergencies, are charged with enforcing federal, state, and local law and protecting national security parts for their sworn duties. If we keep all of that in, and then what, you wanna take everything else out?
Well, we're
The
only
other
considering right now adding state and federal law enforcement. I'm a no on that. Tricia?
I'm okay with adding state, but not federal.
Wait, so now it's local and state, but not federal? I don't understand.
I think we should just say law enforcement.
They're confused. And, okay. So we're not gonna add the state and federal. So we're just keep it
We
at
just say law enforcement.
So you're taking out local,
No,
So
no.
local,
Okay, yes, take out.
you're taking out local, you're just saying,
Enforcement agencies.
can it say all law enforcement agencies?
see.
Why not?
Could it say law enforcement agencies who work in partnership?
Yeah, because
Okay.
my God, then that's interesting. So we'll do this, that, it actually means that, that's all.
because state,
If you think it means federal, then we can strike all of it. I'll take it out.
Like, Harry, what does it mean when it just says law?
Say all law enforcement
Works
works with schools.
in partnership with schools, well, the law enforcement that works in partnership with our local law enforcement.
well, because see,
Look at the suicide, Karen.
state,
Yes, yes, say,
Okay, so fed.
And sheriff, like,
Sheriff. Oh, my goodness.
Local.
local,
I understand.
Sheriff
But
is county.
there's
Sheriff
county
is
though.
county.
Which
yes,
is local.
which is local, because they're in charge of Yorba Linda, so they're very, very local. They're on our campuses every
Agreed,
week.
100%.
I think with that, we leave it as whereas local law enforcement agencies who work in partnership with schools.
That she would say law
Marilyn,
enforcement.
would you agree
I just said,
to put in whereas local law enforcement agencies who work in partnership with schools?
I would just leave it as wherefore law enforcement agencies who work in partnership with PYLUSD. Yeah, because this is
Campus.
because this is our resolution and our.
But it says PYLUSD at the top.
So let me read it again. Whereas law enforcement agencies who work in partnership with PYLUSD schools to protect campuses.
Respond to emergencies and promote community safety.
Yes, and
Yes.
the two of you, yes or no?
You didn't finish that sentence. Where do you end that sentence?
Community safety.
Okay,
Whereas,
so you
whereas
stopped
law
before that.
enforcement. I just like
Okay.
dot.
Yeah.
Whereas law enforcement agencies who work in partnership with PYLUSD schools to protect campuses, respond to emergencies and promote community safety. Agreed? I'm here, see nods. Okay,
And that's fine.
so that one will change. Okay. All right. So with
Okay.
that,
So do we go to the third one is good? The fourth
no,
one is
because
good?
we are only considering putting in
Hold
that.
on.
She said,
Because
I'm not-
everything else has been struck.
no, she's saying the third and
That's
fourth.
not what I said.
She's saying the ones that are not struck,
ones
the
that are
third.
not
and
The
the-
rule of law is foundation principle to our nation.
Okay. Now so then we go to now therefore be it resolved that the Placentia Northland Board of Education affirms its support for law enforcement officers.
That should be
Law
consistent.
enforcement.
That should just be
Law
law.
enforcement officers, so.
If we're gonna be consistent, it needs to take local out and have it just be law enforcement.
I think should be local.
Well, if we go to where the second paragraph where it says law enforcement officers, the after that therefore be resolved, we're still talking about the law enforcement officer.
I get that. My preference would be to leave in local.
Okay,
I
my
would
preference
preference
is
would
to
be take
keep
it
it out.
I would just let it match up above.
It needs to be consistent.
It needs to be consistent.
Okay, so that's 3, so we'll take out local.
So then it goes, be it further resolved, the board recognizes the essential role these agencies play in maintaining public safety, protecting schools, families, and neighborhoods. Be it further resolved that the board commits to maintaining open, cooperative relationships with all public safety partners to ensure campus security and emergency readiness.
Yep.
Now, the next one Tricia struck was about the.
Correct. So the next one is
Okay, and then be it further resolved that the board encourages respectful dialogue, transparency with parents, and community unity.
it's a little different. It's the board encourages, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I just copied. Encourages respectful dialogue and transparency with students, parents, employees, community, and local law enforcement.
And law
So-
enforcement?
Yeah.
And law enforcement, I would say to keep it unified.
Respectful dialogue. and
If we can have a respectful dialogue and be transparent. Who work in law enforcement, who work with PYLUSD, who work in partnership like we did above,
Yeah, use,
in
be
partnership.
consistent with the language. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, so let me read again. Be it further resolved that the board encourages respectful dialogue and transparency with students, parents, employees, and community, and law enforcement who work in partnership with PYLUSD. Okay. All right, so with that, let's take a vote. All those in favor
Aye.
and opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And with that, we're going to take a 15-minute break, so we can decide if we want to stay or listen in.
It's our first time. Remember, bring a flash next time. That's like pulling teeth. Wow. Okay, goodbye, folks. I gotta go home. Like.